Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, my man Mort and Mahin. We have a wonderful show for you guys this evening. But before we get started, we need your help. Please help us on patreon.com/the Our YouTube videos don't get us any revenue. So there's always a misconception among the listeners that, oh, well, you guys get paid from YouTube and we don't really need to help you guys out. You guys are generating revenue on your own. Absolutely false. We completely rely on you.
Fake news.
And Allah, of course. But help us out on patreon.com/themadmamluks. If you don't know how to navigate Patreon, you can go to themadmamluks.com/donate and help us out through PayPal. All right. We have a wonderful episode for you guys this evening. We have a gentleman who is a blogger, an author of the popular book, The Rise and Fall of the Salafi Dawah, the one and only
Notorious
Mr. Sinister Umar Lee. Welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Glad to be here in Chicago.
Yeah, man. We've been wanting you in the show for so long. I always told the guys, like, man, I don't agree with Umar on a lot of different things, but this guy is so entertaining. I have so much fun reading his comments, his takes on things, and he just doesn't give a bleep about what people think about him, and to a certain extent, I love that about you, and just the way you recklessly, like a juggernaut, just don't care about making friends, don't care about what people think of about your takes. Just say what's on your mind, and
well, get ready to lose some Patreon subscribers tonight.
Oh man,
or gain some.
And hopefully gain some. Hopefully it evens out.
Yeah,
that's one of the beautiful things about this thing is that, I know like a lot. So some of my friends absolutely do not like you, but that could be said about every other guest of ours as well. It's just that I always tell the guys, when we lose Patreon subscribers or we lose people from listening to the show, it's just kind of a culling. We just get rid of the fat, and we always prided ourselves on having a following that just cares about being entertained and learning different perspectives, improving their own perspectives on things, and just having a well-rounded belief system.
Yeah. Let me give you an example of what you just said.
Yeah.
So I grew up wrestling, in the sport of wrestling. Which I still love, and I don't compete, but I still follow NCAA wrestling and international wrestling. And I wrestled for the great Charlie Sherritt Sr., who's one of the best high school wrestling coaches in history of this country. And Coach Sherritt, his philosophy was he didn't care who quit.
Yeah.
He didn't care who gave up. It was who was there at the end. You see, and he had the saying, "Shape wins, and you get what you pay for." Right. So his philosophy was whoever was there at the end, that was who was there with you. Now I bring it to my personal life. We go back to 2018. Now I moved down to the Dallas suburbs in 2017. Even though I hate Dallas, I hate Texas. I know DC Muslims love it. I know it's like the hottest place to be. Oh, Omar Suleiman, oh, Nouman Ali, all the big celebrity imams are there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that don't do nothing for me, right? Mm-hmm. So they got a lot of halal food. That's the only thing. But in general, I don't like Texas for many, many reasons. Okay, but I go down there because my daughter's down there. Even though her mother from New York, her mother moved down there, so I want to be close to her. I get down there in 2017, September, just after my birthday. My birthday is September 18th, from St. Louis. That Thanksgiving, my nephew in St. Louis is killed on Thanksgiving. He's shot and killed. The next December, Brother Bassem Masri. And then we talking about the Ferguson protest. You had a lot of Muslims hashtagging and tweeting and this and that, right? But out there in the streets, it was only like you could count the number of Muslims in your hand. Me, Bassem Masri, Talal Ahmed, etc.
Did Bassem Masri pass away?
So Bassem passed away.
Yeah.
He was working for my sister in St. Louis.
Right.
I've been to Bassem's family's house in Jerusalem. his dad. I worked for his uncle like when I was like a teenager, like in the early 20s.
Sure.
Like selling bootleg cassette tapes. You going way back. I got that bootleg Tupac. You know what I'm saying? And so Bassem dies. Okay. I immediately drive up to St. Louis for the janaza at Dawah Jalal. I come back to Dallas, lay on my couch, my sister blowing up my phone. I call her back. My mother been shot and killed in St. Louis, right? So I immediately drive back to St. Louis. Okay. Now, as you talk about brotherhood, that's when you really see who's in your corner and who's not in your corner. You know what I'm trying to say? Because one of the worst things that can happen is, your mother's murdered, right? I mean,
sure.
and I'm talking about somebody she didn't know. It's a brutal murder, just the way it went down, the whole 9 yards, right? They just arrested people like in the last month. I mean, it happened in 2018. The arrest was just
I remember
in last month, or maybe 6 weeks now or something like that. Anyway, so if it's me and somebody's mother get killed, right? I don't care if it's somebody I beef with. I've beefed with Hamza Yusuf. You know what I'm saying? Someone shoot his mother. I'm gonna, whatever means I have, an email. I'm gonna at least send a condolence, right?
Yeah.
If it's Jonathan Brown, if it's anybody that the Salafi brothers in Germantown, whoever, you know what I'm saying? Whoever it is, if that happens, I'm gonna reach out to them, and I'm gonna offer my condolences. You know, just as General Adab, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ain't hardly nobody, and I've been on the Muslim scene forever. Imam Suhaib Webb, Ubaidullah here in Chicago, but it wasn't many. You know what I'm trying to say? A lot of people had my phone number. A lot of people. Yeah. The people that really reached out were the people from St. Louis. The people that I've known since I'm a teenager. Most of them. Or since my early 20s, right? So my philosophy is, I care about those people's feelings. You see what I'm saying? Those people that are with me through thick and thin, they've seen all the crazy stuff I've done. And, they've seen me go through different phases, you know what I'm trying to say? But we all been together this whole time, right?
Yeah.
And they're mostly in St. Louis, but there's a scattering of, in DC and in different places, right? And that's whose feelings I'm really care about. So some random Muslim on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook that I don't even know, you know what I'm trying to say? Or maybe I do know, and they didn't even have the decency to reach out to me at that time, you know what I'm trying to say? Because maybe I said something about their sheikh, you know what I'm saying? Or said something about, their the Bismillah booty calls and their little...
You're right.
corner, you know what I'm saying, that little corner of the community, you know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't care about these people's feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'm a street dude from St. Louis, right? Mm-hmm. So internet beefs to me are not real. You know what I'm saying?
It's just talk, right?
It is talk. I got teeth missing. Mm-hmm. I got bullet wounds. I got stabbed. That's real beef to me. You know what I'm trying to say? You know when I had the Jonathan Brown thing a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Which wasn't even supposed to happen. I was just giving a brother a ride to that lecture. I don't go to lectures. Lectures don't interest me. It's a brother I hadn't seen in a while. He's like, hey man, can you give me a ride to this thing? And at first I was just gonna drop him off. And then I was like, man, if I drop him off and then go pick him up, and then as soon as I get there, I'm gonna have to come back. So I'll just, logistically stay and listen, right? So I wrote the little Medium piece about Jonathan Brown. I was out working all night in DC. I'm sleeping, but my plans is that weekend I'm going to New York for the fights. On Friday, it was St. Patrick's Day weekend. So Irish Olympic boxer Mick Conlan is fighting on Friday night in the small room in Madison Square Garden. Conor McGregor's walking him out to the room. Walking him out to the ring. And then Saturday night, Triple G is fighting Danny Jacobs, and I got press credentials in Madison Square Garden. So I'm sitting on press row at Madison Square Garden, right? Mm-hmm. And people are texting.
Hey, how'd you score that?
Because I write about boxing sometimes.
Oh, nice. Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
So people attack because the Muslim community attacking me because Jonathan Brown, they man, right? So they attacking me viciously, and I had like 3-4 people text me, you all right, man? I'm all right. I'm on press row at Madison Square Garden. You know what I'm saying?
I'm living life.
You know, I'm living the life.
I was more surprised people knew you because, like, you're from the old school days
Right.
when, you know, people who know about the entire Salafi Dawah and how it,
So-
how you kind of came out of that whole blogging atmosphere back then. So I was just like, wait, all of a sudden, like, everyone just acts like they're informed whenever controversy happens. Like, oh, yeah, Umar Lee, yeah, he's a bum,
Yeah,
yeah.
but you know the funny part though is a lot of them were reading your stuff when they wanted to get against the Salafis.
Yeah.
And had no problem at that time.
Exactly. So here's the thing. When I wrote The Rise and Fall, people loved it and they used it. But when I started talking about Sufis, you know, I auctioned off the underwear they shake, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, right? But then they're like, hold on, Adab. Well, where was this Adab when I was talking about Abu Osama and Dawood Adib? And
They didn't mind.
You know, because those people have touched a lot more people, the people I know, than any of these people you're talking about. You know what I'm trying to say? So like in the Muslim community, if they don't like you, there's no adab, there's no honesty. You know, they'll attack you viciously, right? Mm-hmm. It's just all about are you cool or not, right? So if you're a Sufi, you attack a Salafi, a Sufi, a Ikhwan, you know, whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's the culture, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? It's a beef culture. But once you're seen on the outside, all bets are off. I know a brother, it's kind of a comical situation. It ain't comical if I was him, but hearing about it, he was renting a house out. And the brother stopped paying rent. And he was like, yo, man, why you stop paying rent? He's like, well, you upon bid'ah because you sit with the people of innovation. You know what I'm saying? In St. Louis, we had a situation. The masjid was renting out some houses, which was a bad idea anyway, right?
Right.
They didn't pay rent, and they was like, yo, you can't take us to the court of the kuffar or you've left Islam. You know what I'm saying? So when they went to court, they made takfir on them. You know so I mean, you know what I'm saying? So when the Jack Brown thing, you people talk about Umar Lee crazy. Look, I might be crazy. I've never been to a psychiatrist. I don't even believe in therapy or psychiatry. I might be crazy. But crazy is like a diagnosis. No one has diagnosed me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then what kills me are these people attacking me but displaying intimate, years-long knowledge of my writings. Like, yo, you reading everything I've written for years and years. You know what I'm saying? So you must have found something that you like. And a lot of this comes down to jealousy. Like, I've had a lot of academic trolls that don't like me. You know, like kind of the bored, depressed. You know, like there's this Twitter thing, depressed academics, right? Mm-hmm. They're always melting down. They're always mad about something.
They're looking for the next crusade on the internet to write about.
Exactly.
I always find it interesting, though, how people who are academics, because Twitter, to me, doesn't seem like an academic-style platform.
Yeah.
But it's a place for clout.
It's a place for clout. Also, I can say this as a writer. Yeah. It's like, even though I got deleted, I had like 10,000 followers and deleted my Twitter, and now I'm back, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's very hard these days to promote your writing. Like, my big thing now, I got a Substack. I just started that Substack newsletter weekly. It's hard to promote stuff on social media. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think for academics, it's almost like you have to be, I think as far as when they consider you for tenure, they might be looking at that, you know.
There has to be some presence that people can.
Right, there has to be some presence. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, but my road trip, to get to this.
Yeah.
I started in the Dallas suburbs. Again, I hate Dallas. Don't move to Texas. Look, if you're going to move to Texas because Omar Suleiman, keep in mind, he's not even in town.
He's never there, right?
He's never there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm talking about the income tax, though, bro. Out here we pay income tax.
I'd rather go to Florida.
You can go to Florida. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
You go to Florida. You can go to Las Vegas.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Hey, Vegas is okay, but
I like Vegas.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm a big boxing fan.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like Vegas, MMA. I'm a big MMA, so I was thinking Vegas might be good for that.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But the thing in Texas, I don't like Omar Suleiman. He's hardly ever there. Also, that masjid, I'm just gonna keep it real. It's like 99.9% Desi. Like everybody's Desi.
So nobody talk to you.
Nobody talks. Like I've never lived anywhere.
They think you're the janitor when you walk in.
Exactly. When you walk in the masjid and like no one, like, but they don't talk to each other either. Like I thought, like they don't talk to me, and I can kind of understand it, but they don't talk to each other. Like I went to Valley Ranch Islamic Center, which is where he's imam, when I first got down there, and they had kind of just opened the building. In Ramadan, because in St. Louis, they have iftar every night at the masajid, and there's a big crowd for salah.
Sure.
It was Markham. There was like 4 or 5 people there.
Oh wow!
And I had to go to the car and get a bottle of water from the trunk just to have something to break my fast with. You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing in Texas is buffets. You know, $24.95 samosa, biryani. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's the big thing. I went to Richardson Master INT, and somebody said, "Salam alaikum." I was like, "Man, this is nice, man. Somebody talking to me." And it was a brother from St. Louis. You know. You know, so anyway, so we start off there. We stop in Arkansas at Hope, Arkansas, the boyhood home of President Bill Clinton, the man from Hope. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. I look back at the '90s as a good time. No wars to speak of, right? Even though we know we were always into a little something, but no major wars. Yeah. The Muslim community was much better in the '90s. It was kind of a golden era. You know what I'm saying? People were making money. I was young. You know, we kind of had this energetic spirit in the Muslim community. It was a nice time, right? And Bill Clinton was president. And the biggest thing was Monica Lewinsky, the fellatio scandal, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of endeared me to Bill. You know, I was like, yo, we have similar interests. You know what I'm saying? So
you guys both like cigars?
But remember in the '90s, it was controversial. Like I voted secretly. I wouldn't tell nobody I was voting.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't talk about voting at the masjid. You know, it was, some people said it was kufr, you know, shirk. You know, the Imam Zayd Shaki would say it's shirk. Yeah. That we should be concentrating on establishing the Islamic government in America, adopting to Islam. And
that's old Zayd Shaki.
It's old Zayd Shaki, yeah. That's like 3 or 4, yeah, the old Zayd. He's basically had 2. But that was the climate. And Salafis definitely weren't talking about voting, right? Now, I could never get with not voting, so I'll just kind of go vote in secret. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know,
it was your dirty little secret.
My dirty little secret. I'm voting for Slick Willie. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm always Democrat. And so that's my memory of Bill Clinton. But there's a brother, I say this to say about Bill Clinton, there's a brother I know, one of my dear friends, who is the uncle of Talib Abdul Malik. It's Talib's brother, Hamza Abdul Malik in Memphis, who recited Quran at the funeral of Muhammad Ali, if you remember that. Yeah. He's got the Midtown Mosque in Memphis. He came out of Zayd's community, and he was like a militant back in the day, right? I mean, he wasn't doing nothing, you know, illegal, just, you know, militant perspective. And he went and spent time in Morocco, and he had to go to the American embassy. And he said his time in Morocco, he got the perspective, comparison between the U.S. standard of living in Morocco. He said when he got to the U.S. embassy, he wanted to kiss the picture of Bill Clinton on the wall. You know what I'm saying? So we don't see that. See, I had a lot of friends that made hijra, quote unquote hijra, illegal immigration, to Yemen, to the slums of Cairo, you know, Saudi Arabia.
Malaysia.
Yeah, not really Malaysia, but I mean, I know some people did, but I didn't really have any friends.
Malaysia was emphasized as a hijra spot.
Right. Sudan, at first, when I came in Sudan, because Hassan Turabi was inviting Muslims to come in from all over the world. Mm-hmm. So that was the first spot. People make hijra to Sudan. Then when the Salafiyya starts getting popular, people want to try to get a visa to the Gulf. Maybe we can teach English or study.
Or the TEFL certificate. They get that and
exactly.
Go and teach. Yeah.
Or go to Egypt or go to Yemen. And Yemen, they're hardcore living in the mountains. Like a couple of them got killed by Houthi militia.
You're talking about Damaj.
Yeah.
Damaj. And
a couple of Americans got shot and killed over there.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I'm not like what you call an idealist or a naturally pious person. Like, I don't have that natural piety. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at Yemen. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is a third world country. You shitting in a, excuse me. I
mean, whatever.
You can swear.
I can swear. You shitting in
but just take it easy on Yemen, though.
Yeah, right. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, I might be a poor American, but I'm used to, like, indoor plumbing. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to water that doesn't give me malaria. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So the whole thing, like, I'm gonna go to Yemen, it really never made sense to me. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Even though, I almost married a Yemeni sister.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like I you know, I give it too many details.
Nah, I'm just messing. You can say what you want. I'm just messing with you, bro.
But the Yemeni, this is a good sister. I'm gonna tell you something. This a few years back, and you know, my deen up and down. Because like I said, I'm naturally not pious. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel I'm a natural good Muslim in some ways. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't listen to music a lot. Like, I hardly ever listen to music. I don't drink. I don't get high. Like, everybody smoke weed now, right? I don't smoke weed. So I'm naturally a good Muslim in some ways. It's just I've been socialized not to do those things, right? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, in other ways, probably not, right? So I was talking to a Yemeni sister. You know what I'm saying? This sister got me kind of back situated.
So what's the sisters?
Deen-wise. But we didn't get married. She just got me back thinking deen-wise, right?
Was she one of those like who? There's this group of sisters. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like extremely beautiful, and they use their beauty to get the guys back on the path.
She was very beautiful. But
Yeah. So there's this. I don't know if it's like a tariqa or I don't know what it is, man.
Right.
But I know for a fact there is a group of sisters, especially from Egypt. There's a group of these sisters who are super beautiful, and they have it in their mind that they're going to use their beauty to straighten out men.
Wow.
Yeah, and put them back on the path, and they just use that power that they over. I'm very doing it very clean way right now, but they use that power that they have over men,
right?
And they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to use this to make them better men.
Well, see, the thing with her is, so I get back in this Dean mindset, right? This is like 3 years ago, right? Maybe 2 or 3, I don't know, something like that. And I'm in Texas bored anyway, because I don't like going to the masjid down there. Because I don't like the masjids.
Yeah.
They're all Desi. They don't talk to you.
There's no brotherhood.
There's no
point to go there.
So what's the Desi Sufi called? Barlevi or something like that?
Brandon
Louis.
Yeah, that's the closest one to my masjid. You know, it's pimped out with Christmas lights inside. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And like,
my God.
you know, it's not my. I went to Abdurrahman Murphy thing.
Yeah.
It's all,
Oh yeah.
It's all like
It's all you. They're like they're young enough to be your kids.
It's the CD
right.
culture,
Right. You're not
bro.
to be my kids. Like, you know, I still like them. They don't like me as far as the women are concerned. Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're young enough to be my kids.
You know what? Can
yeah.
I be honest though?
Yeah.
And it's not on him alone.
Yeah.
But I feel like that culture is too like patting you on your back. Like you know how we talk about there's no third place, second place, there's only first place. They believe in like 100th place. Like you feel like when you go in there, everybody's a winner.
No, I feel like, look, everything is business, right?
Yeah.
This is what I've learned. Islam is business in America. So all the celebrity, like when I hear like a celebrity man say something, I don't really pay too much attention to it because I know this is a market analysis decision, right? This is what people want to hear. Like YQ, Yasser Qadhi,
Yeah.
he's actually kind of bucking that trend. Like I think he's messing up his money by some of the things he's doing. But maybe
That's why I respect him a little
I
bit.
maybe, yeah.
But I disagree a little bit. You know why? Because I think what he's doing is he's moving away from things like Al-Maghrib, and he's turned to his own YouTube channel.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's a market for what he's doing.
Oh, listen.
He
No,
might see it.
I think he would have made more money if he's stuck with
I'll tell you something.
what works.
I agree.
If you
I
move
agree.
away from Islam and you kind of have a kind of a divergent opinion, you believe scholarship's going to take you on board, and you get grants, you get a lot of different
I
things.
don't know, man.
You don't think
Yeah,
so?
but then he just got canceled, right?
I think he's doing some kind of self-sabotage. I mean,
Okay.
he might see it, but my analysis
Oh,
is...
you mean foresight?
Yeah. My analysis is he's definitely in the short term he hurt himself, right?
Yeah.
He
But
just got canceled, by the way.
But most of but most of the like Imam Suhaib, right? So Suhaib, you know, we go way back to him. He lived in St. Louis with us. Our teacher was Sheikh Abdul-Rahman Basir. And Sheikh Abdul-Rahman was an African American gentleman, had converted in 1960 in Brooklyn.
MashaAllah.
The Sheikh don't allow you to videotape him, take pictures of him. I kind of snuck and did one time, then actually deleted the pictures. You know what I'm saying? But you look at Suhaib's speaking style, that's not El Azhar, that's Sheikh Abdul-Rahman, like the influence.
Okay.
He put his own spin, you know, but the influence is Sheikh Abdul-Rahman.
You mean that passion and like that deliverance?
Yeah, I mean, if you heard the Sheikh speak, you can see the influence, right? But the Sheikh had the level of street knowledge that Suhaib doesn't have, right? So the Sheikh says, you know, he would say, I came to do dawah to the gangbanger. I've come to the bush for the bushman. So our match in St. Louis is in Walnut Park, which is nicknamed Murderville. He set there on purpose. He wanted to reach the streets. Okay. And then Suhaib came from Oklahoma to live there. You know, I think he spent about a year there. And this Suhaib was like huge beard. It was like Salafi Suhaib. Like even though Sheikh never claimed Salafiyah, but it was, you know, it was what people would outside identify as Salafi, right?
It was implied, and you could pick that up from his old talks on Islam.net.
But the Sheikh was also, he would clown immigrants. You know, what did you come to this kufr for? Did you come here for a green card? Do you get your green card? The Sheikh was hardcore. I remember the very first time I ever saw him. He a little short dude. I'm walking in the hallway, and he says, "The foreign policy of Adolatul Islam is jihad." He like 5'5", old black dude, long gray beard. I was like, yo. And so it was some brothers in St. Louis, Moheads was like, yo, man, this dude finna get us locked up. But the Sheikh is unique because he would teach from Bilal Phillips' book, Ibn Kathir, Abdurrahman al-Khalid, these, Salafi Sunni sources. And he would teach from Frantz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth, Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. So he
mixed them together.
He kind of mixed them together, you know what I'm saying? But it was hardcore. Like he slept on the floor and told all of us to sleep on the floor. You know what I'm saying? When he did his sit down with his wife, he said, "Sister, I'm about the destruction of Western civilization. If you could roll with that." You know what I'm saying? So this is real old school. Right?
But you know what's interesting about that though? I tell you, because he probably came out of like that Black Panthers era.
Yeah, he did. So he came out of Brooklyn, and then he moved to the Bay. So he was in the Bay Area when, you know what I'm saying? So if you look at 70s Islam, like the mother is the Dawah Islam movement out of Brooklyn, right?
Yeah. And
they went down to Philly, DC, Jersey, etc. That's part of that movement era. So they were a Sunni movement, but they were similar to like, the Panthers, the Black Liberation Army. It was a movement era. So in the Islamic context, you make bay'ah. So the Dawah happens in the 80s, they split, part go with Imam Jamil Amin, make bay'ah to him, and part, like my ex-wife, go to Sheikh Jilani, or her family went to Jilani, Pakistani, and made bay'ah to him. You know what I'm saying? But it was a movement era. You see what I'm saying? And so we're not in a movement era now. Now we're like an individual era, like individualistic. Ain't nobody trying to make bay'ah now.
Yeah.
Like everybody, it's
trying to do their own thing.
Everybody trying to do their own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm not making bay'ah. You know what I'm saying? Like if people want to make bay'ah to me, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to have a cult where I'm the leader and I monopolize money and sex, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm trying to say?
What would you call your cult?
Oh man, Fedeino Morin. but
I'm picturing the cult of the guy from Turkey.
Oh yeah,
with the
Harun Yahya.
With a bunch of ladies around you.
So my first priority is gonna be Dawah in Brazil, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Colombia. That's where the Dawah needs to be.
I guess some of that Salafi hasn't left you yet. Huh?
Yeah, hey man.
You got the white gaze on you.
But you know the thing is, man, is that get back to sex, because everything's about sex, because we're all here because of sex, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So this was like a few months ago, and a brother was like, "Hey man, you might be in some hot water." I was like, "Hot water?" Because I was like, "Hot fuck," you know what I'm saying? Because it could be like a million things, you know what I'm trying to say? And he's like, somebody saw a profile of yours on a Muslim marriage app, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, "Oh yeah, I have a profile." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I legit have a profile on my, and like I've seen so many like famous Muslims on there. Like everybody uses their fake name. Like I've seen matter of fact, the sister right here, a pretty famous sister, she on there. So it's not uncommon for people to be on there. He shows it to me. It's not even me. Like I actually do have a profile. That's not the profile. You know what I'm trying to say? So somebody took the time to set up like a fake profile of me on the stage.
Is it like set you up or just use you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the deal with it was. You know what I'm saying? But he's like, "Yeah, you might get canceled." I was like, "Canceled? How you gonna cancel me?"
Yo, that's one of the big problems with a lot of these apps is that some guys are just little freaking trying to choose my words carefully, but they're weasels. They set up apps. They set up a profile just to see which guys are on there, you know, so that they can like make fun of, you know, and find dirt about or whatever, you know. But yeah, go ahead.
Everybody's on them though.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I've seen at least 10 like kind of celebrity woke jabbies, you know, trying to say whatever the term
Shakes
is.
in my DM,
you know,
like
trying
that
to
kind
say,
of stuff.
you know what I'm saying? Like there's some legit people that's on there. So you gotta, if you gotta cancel me, you gotta cancel them too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? But
You know what you should say? If you drop my name, I'm dropping their names.
yeah, exactly.
but so what if you were on
Yeah,
there?
so what? That was my whole thing. So what? You know what I'm trying to say? You know, I mean, the whole thing is Muslims are on two tracks, right? So on one hand, this kind of millennial ethos is woke progressive, right? Which is very liberal sexually, right? Basically, whatever you want to do, you can do, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? And you shouldn't judge that, right? If we take off all our clothes right now, you shouldn't judge that. You know what I'm trying to say? It's just cis heteropatriarchy that would allow you to think this is abnormal. And, you know, in medieval times, before European colonialism, it was actually quite common for, you know, it's blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Then on the other hand, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like Taliban. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you even talk to a sister, you know what I'm trying to say? It's a scandal. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, it's two things going on. Like, what rules are we playing by? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, is that toxic masculinity that you're using,
right.
or your position of power you're using in order to.
I'm very powerful.
Oh,
Yeah.
and here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
If you do talk to somebody,
Right.
even if they say, okay, it's fine, you're on there, but because of your status, it's now spiritual abuse if it doesn't go the right way.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing in the Muslim community is, pardon my French, but it's a lot of fucking going on, right? Like, it's a lot of like
Or wife swapping too.
wife swapping. It's I got two friends of mine right now, right? One got a relationship with a married woman. She a married Muslim woman.
La hawla wa la
You know what I'm trying to say?
So she has a relationship with a Muslim woman. So
No, I mean, is she with a Muslim man?
She's with a Muslim man.
Okay.
Oh man.
She messing around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? The other one not married, but she messing with a Muslim man too.
Sure.
Right?
Hey, but these are like well-known people, or
No.
Okay.
Just like average people.
Okay. Yeah.
And both of their situation is the most important thing above all is what?
Looking pious.
No, nobody knows
Oh
about it.
yeah.
That's the number one thing. Like, they don't care that they fucking. You know
So that's what I meant, like looking pious, like make sure no one else knows what's
exactly.
happening. Yeah.
That
right.
no one else knows what happened. You know what I'm trying to say? For me, I just be like, you know what? She had a fat ass, and Allah forgive everything, but sure, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm not gonna do no cloak and dagger stuff. Like, you know, I've talked to Muslims like, yo, I live in Brooklyn. Let's meet in the Bronx. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, yo, this is not like CIA. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you want to hang out or you don't.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think that if people they've got to get that fix, why aren't? Because I would always think if I wanted to do that, you go to Catholic chicks.
Yeah.
Because it's probably easier. Because when you do the Muslim community, you're most likely to get exposed.
So I think for women, it's okay. These guys know the culture. Like, I can tell
They know
them,
the drill.
They know the drill. I can tell them, like, yo, I don't want to be seen in public. Like, as a non-Muslim dude, it's like, yeah, let's have drinks. Let's go to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
Let
saying?
me introduce you to my family.
Right, yeah, exactly. They don't care. Let's take a selfie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hashtag that curry was good. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So a Muslim dude knows this is cloak and dagger. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Like, even me, you know what I'm trying to say? You know, like, if I want to hang out with you, like, I'm married now, so I would never. Like, it's so horrific to me to think about. If I want to hang out with a chick, right? I don't want to drink. I don't want to get high. I don't want to go to the club and dance. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't do all this Catholic stuff. Like, I have one weakness as women, but I don't want to, like, do drugs. And, like, nowadays, like, the whole non-Muslim thing is, like, they've went, like, way off the deep end. Like, you got to get high. You got to get drunk. You probably, I mean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to commit one sin. I ain't trying to get like 40 sins. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm trying to keep my count down low, you know, as low as possible. You know what I'm trying to say? But I think for Muslim women, it's like that. And then Muslim guys will tell you like they're disgusted by women eating pork. You know what I'm trying to say? Or but a lot of the Muslims are drinking too and getting high.
So you know, I'll say this much though, man. I think a lot of the problem is that a lot of people are Muslims for other people to see, like, and I think this is what. And pardon me, but for saying this, but I think this is one of the reasons why I think that whole Salafi burnout happened.
Yeah.
Because it was more about how you appeared.
Yes.
And rather than what you felt on the inside.
Well, I think it's any kind of like extreme fundamentalism.
Well, I would say this much too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with the extremes, I know. I mean, I started the other way. I went from like the Nazim Haqqani Sufiya to like the Salafi, and then kind of like somewhere in the middle now, right? Where I'm like, but I feel like what happens is that when people are more concerned about what people are thinking about them, they end up just kind of doing the ritual.
Well, I think we also have to contextualize this in the sense of what's your background. So if you come from a Muslim culture, a Muslim family, okay, you have family pressures too. Your family may not want you to like, okay, you could only take from the positions of Al-Albani and what they mean or something like that, right? But they want you to be a pious, or at least the appearance of pious. They don't want you to do anything scandalous to bring shame in the family. Like me and my family not Muslim. They don't care what I do. I mean, in terms of religion or something like that, right? So converts have much more freedom. Like I can piss people off because my family don't care. If I'm a dude from an Arab or Desi or Turkish Muslim family or whatever, they have to consider their families too. Like I have a friend in St. Louis. This is a dear friend of mine, Brother Tim Kaminsky. He was an old leftist communist activist.
Ted Kaczynski?
Tim Kaminsky. He was an old leftist communist activist, Polish guy. Actually originally from Chicago, moved to St. Louis as a teenager, and he was a Sunni and to become Shia. He went to my mother's friend and yelled at like, "Ya Hussein!" Like he went to Karbala in Iraq and the shrines of Imam Reza in Iran and stuff. He's a really cool guy. I love this brother. He had cancer now, so make dua for his health. But
keep him shifa.
And me. But why did I mention Tim? I don't remember.
I don't know. We were talking about how people were judging and stuff. So you're
talking about the non-Muslim family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So he's got a good friend, Pakistani guy whose father was like an admiral in the Pakistani like military. I mean, it's like a heavyweight family in Pakistan, Sunni. And he's like trying to debate him, Sunni, Shia. I was like, yo, man, this guy can only be a Sunni Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, and if he was a Shia in Iran, it'd be the same thing. Because they're going to put a bullet in his head if he goes home and says, you know what, I'm a Shia now. You know what I'm trying to say? It's just not, he can't do it.
It's more of a cultural norm for them.
It's a cultural norm. Right. So we have the freedom, and we have to realize that we can't, that we can say we're Ahmadiyya, or we can say we're Shia, or no one cares. Like my family doesn't even know what any of these things are. You know what I'm trying to say? They barely know what a Muslim is. But when you're from this background, it's a different different thing. Yeah.
So
I wanted to ask you about something though.
Yeah.
So you know how you said you moved through different phases, right?
Yeah.
Like you've been.
Yeah.
So first of all, I never really followed a lot of what happened because at that time I was just moving around, whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
was there a period where, like, I guess when you I think you said you went completely off Islam completely, right?
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
Was it from your own? Was it because like you just got tired of trying to be like good, or like was it because you just?
And I just wanted to add to that because a lot of times, whenever your name comes up, like people try to sabotage whatever you want to say. It's like, he's the one who he left Islam.
Right.
So I wanted you to just take the time to kind of explain what your
I mean, not that you owe anybody explain. I'm just curious myself.
Yeah, I mean that's
I think because it was public,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like something you dealt with privately.
Right.
You were very public about it,
Yeah.
and people want to know. And
so that's an interesting situation. So that's 2013,
right?
Just before Ramadan, 2013. And just to give a little background of my generation, and I'm sure this younger generation and even older, most of the people that converted are no longer Muslim. The majority.
Yeah.
From the early 90s, you mean?
Even now.
From the 2000s,
Yeah.
I mean, of all generations. So most of the people that convert don't stay Muslim. Okay. And I know people that went to Hajj, studied in Medina, they're no longer Muslim. Okay. I can say their names, but I don't want to supposed to make that, right?
Real briefly though, why do you think it's that?
I mean, it depends on the individual.
Okay, it just individual.
it could be
It's not like a
community,
central.
family,
There's no central theme behind it.
Yeah. There could be a few different
Okay.
ones, but generally it's not uncommon, right?
Okay.
So what happens in 2013 was basically I'd actually just got married again
Okay.
to a Puerto Rican sister, my second Puerto Rican sister. You know what I'm saying?
This is New York then.
Nah, the New York was done.
Okay.
This sister was in Atlanta.
Okay.
This is wife 3.
I lost count, but I got 3 slots open, and I believe in muta openly, not like your celebrity imams who do it secretly. I openly believe in muta. Okay, so I'm Jaffrey on that issue. So and shellfish. I don't eat shrimp or.
Oh, you're
crab,
Hanafi on that.
Jaffrey, Hanafi, whatever.
Yeah, Hanafi don't eat shrimp.
Yeah. You know what?
And shellfish.
My daughter's mother was Hanafi because it came out of the Fuqara, you know, Jelani's Jamaat. But like when I deaned, I just went back to Salafi because I learned all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying I'm Salafi, but what I practice is from what I learned from. Salafi.
Yeah, because
you know,
you learn. It's your
it's what I learned.
default. Right,
Like,
right.
I'm too old just to be like learning basic fiqh again. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Right.
anyway, since 2013, you know, me and my daughter's mother had just divorced. You see what I'm trying to say? And not just, it had been maybe a year, you know what I'm saying? But it was still fresh, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it was a difficult time period, you know what I'm saying? It was because, you know, like, you can say like, and I can say this in Muslim community, like you have to like have been in like the Salafi community or kind of like inner city Muslim community to understand what I'm saying. Some of these marriages are like flings. You know what I'm trying to say? Just Bismillah, make the pussy halal. You know what I'm saying? And some of them are serious. You dig? So with my daughter's mother, it was serious. You know what I'm saying? And so the split, you know, which I could get really into, but I know she'll go ballistic if I gave any detail, you know what I'm saying? So the split was serious, right? So, and she grew up hardcore, you know what I'm saying? Father had 2 wives, 13 children, jihad in Afghanistan, you know, Khalifa for Sheikh Jelani. I mean, that was, you know, it was a hardcore background. So, you know, I'm feeling that, you know what I'm saying? And then this is what I can't expose, I can't say, but something else happened in that situation, right? So it kind of put me in a bad place, right? And I just said, fuck it, I'm tired of all this Muslim shit, right? So I said that, plus, ever since 9/11, and you're talking about 12 years, I've had FBI breathing down my back. You talked about lawyer Jim Hacking. Jim Hacking has had to repeatedly keep them off my ass. Because Ismail was my dear friend, Ismail Royer. Because many of the Virginia paintball brothers were my dear brothers. I just had dinner with some of them a couple nights ago. Because Ali Tamimi was someone I learned from and sat in his classes. Because Anwar Awlaki was someone I spent time with. Because just by happenstance, I meet a few of the 9/11 people, right? Pure coincidence.
It happened to be because you were in the masjid.
In the masjid. Like, I met Zacharias Musawi just because we were the only 2 people at the masjid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it wasn't like you knew them, but you just kind of...
Exactly.
You guys were going to the same place.
Right. And then in Florida, I met a couple of them because my company rented me this apartment. That's just by happenstance. The company rented me I didn't rent the apartment. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm saying? And I heard some dude speaking Arabic. You know what I'm trying to say? And these guys fly a fucking plane into a building. I didn't know they were gonna fly a plane into it. You know what I'm saying? I just hear them speaking Arabic. I said, "Oh, let me practice my Arabic." You know what I'm trying to say? I didn't know these motherfuckers could ready to fly a plane into a building. You know, so but from a law enforcement perspective, it's okay. This motherfucker
It's two
did
Muslims,
something.
right? He knows. Yeah,
He
why
knows
would
too many.
Yeah.
He knows too much stuff. He did too much stuff, right?
Right.
So all of that, feds on my ass. This child and marital situation. You know what I'm trying to say? So I said the easiest way for me to get out of this shit is just to say I converted to Christianity, right? Which, you know, I didn't even like Christianity when I was a Christian. I just kind of grew up in the church. So I definitely, it wasn't like I had any kind of attraction to
It was just to
Christianity.
kind of make everything end.
It
You
just
tried
easy.
to diffuse the
It was,
situation.
it was
Right.
kind of like a spiritual suicide.
Right. Because the thing about Christianity, Protestantism or evangelical Christianity, you can just convert on YouTube. If you want to convert to like that and Islam are the easiest convert. By the way, I think there should be a fatwa that takes like a year to convert.
Like the Jews, you mean?
No,
For Islam?
For
For
Islam.
Islam, I think the
That's what
Jewish.
Mormon's saying.
I think the Jewish.
I don't
model-
say that. No, I
No.
tell you what I say.
I think the
say,
Jewish model is a good model.
No, what I say is that you can convert if you want to convert, but there should be a moratorium on when you can start talking about Islam.
Yeah, you get people converting in 2 weeks. They're Muslim activists. In 1 month, they're trying to reform the
And then on
masjid.
YouTube making dawah.
And yeah, on YouTube making dawah. They're
And then a week later, they're leaving Islam.
yeah, exactly. You know, so I think it should take a year because with Judaism, it takes a year and a half, and those that are not serious are filtered out. You know what I'm trying to say? They filter them out. I know everybody wants the white girls and stuff like that, or the Puerto Rican chicks. You know what I'm trying to say? you know, and I know all the, and now you get the white dudes, like, saying, this is Bobby. I met him on campus, and he's really interested in Islam. You know, no, so, okay. You know what I'm saying? We know all that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I say just get married. Just get married. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the charade. Just say fuck it. He's not my husband, not Muslim. I'm not, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that was just the easiest way to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? And that lasted like 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Because I was living in Old North St. Louis. Just
Oh, so wait. You came back to Islam within 3 days?
yeah, within 3 days. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so they couldn't, even if you were in an Islamic state, they couldn't put had on you anyways.
Yes. So it's like
Wow.
So it's like 3 days. So what happened was, like, I quickly realized I caused like a fire. Like everybody fucking calling me. You know what I'm trying to say? Everybody emailing me and shit.
Because you at the time had been Muslim 21 years.
That was a shot around the world, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, people who didn't even know who you are, like, you hear Umar Lee good.
I'm talking about Imam Siraj
leftist.
Imam Siraj Wahaj reaching out to me, Yasser Khan, everybody, right? But like Astronomani, the Astronomani, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's like, she asked me, did Yasser Khan get you back? And so I'm like, no, Yasser Khan didn't get back. He did reach out to me, right?
Yeah.
But what happened was, it was brothers in St. Louis literally camped outside of my place. So I had a gate. Like, you had to go through a gate to get to you couldn't knock on my front door.
Oh, you have the front gate and then you had to get to the, okay.
Yeah. So you had people literally camped out in front of my place, yelling my name. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Umar, get your ass out there.
like I had to, I like, in order to like not make a neighborhood scene, like I had to let him in. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Particularly his brother Muhammad. You know what I'm saying?
Alhamdulillah, they came to you.
And so he came in and we had a talk, and a brother Akil from Detroit called me, and brother Tarek, you know what I'm saying? So, it was that. But like my hardcore, like Muslim friends that are in the Thursday night brotherhood class I'm a part of now, from St. Louis, they were like, we still brothers no matter what decision you make.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Because I think they had the wisdom.
So that's going back to what you said in your core.
But they also were familiar with your personal situation.
They were also familiar with-
and they could understand that you just might need some time to cool off.
Exactly.
But it also goes back to the fact that you were talking about how you have a core group.
Exactly. So they were like patient. That was their thing. So Muhammad get me back in the deen. It's like 3 days, right?
Okay.
It's like Ramadan is like 2-3 weeks away or something like that, right? Or it was shortly, whatever it was. It wasn't that long. I was kind of embarrassed to show up at the masjid, but like brothers say, yeah, just come in. You know what I'm saying? So go in the door, July. Like if I have a choice between like the mosque study just came out, 2020 mosque study. Like black masjids are pretty much collapsing around the country. I mean, there's some bright spots. There's some good spots.
Yeah.
So you basically a lot of times have a choice between the Arab and the Desi masjid, and I usually choose the Arab masjid, just because like they're generally more welcoming of people outside of their ethnicity, and like more Salafi in their approach. You know, like, so it's, you know, like.
And you probably blend in better too.
I blend in better. And like I really like the Imam in St. Louis, Imam Jalali Qasim. He's a really,
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, good speaker. And I like Mass. Like, for all the problems of Mass, I think Mass is the best Muslim organization.
Like Mass ICNA, you mean like that?
The Muslim American Society.
Muslim American Society,
okay.
yeah. And like in Bridgeview and stuff like that. Yeah. So, we started going there. But one night we went to a Nigerian masjid. And so in St. Louis, like, there's this clique of takfiris that they follow Sheikh Faisal, the Jamaican sheikh.
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah, today.
Really?
I mean, well, most of them are locked up now for selling drugs because they sell heroin. And most of them are locked up on a drug case right now. And like guns. I mean, like, they got 2 masjid have restraining orders against them. Like, because like Pakistani masjid, after Salah on Jummah, they tell people, hey, don't forget to register to vote. And the leader of the little clique got up and said, this is kufr, you cannot vote. You know, making takfir. They put they were quick. Restraining order, just like that. Anyway, so one of them see me at the masjid. So I'm going in, I'm shaking everybody's hands, sorry. And one of them said, he wouldn't shake my hand. He said, man, you're not even Muslim. You know, so I was like, fuck you, I don't give a fuck, motherfucker, don't shake my hand. You know what I'm saying? Punk motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? So I go into, we pray, we have our meal after Maghrib, and I walk outside, I walk into an alley, like there's an alley behind the masjid, and I walk back there, and this dude like hit me with a brick. You know what I'm
wait. A Muslim dude hit you with a brick?
Yeah.
Wait,
the dude thought you weren't a Muslim.
That dude.
The guy that didn't want to shake your hand.
Yeah.
But did he hear you say, like, F off, and he heard you say that to him?
Yeah, he would say that to him.
Oh, okay.
So, like, he hit me with a brick. You know what I'm trying to say? So, but I don't think he caught me flush. You know what I'm trying to say? And then we start banging in the alley. You know what I'm trying to say? But I was, like, startled at first. Because,
yeah, you don't know what's happening.
I just know what's happening. And I'm trying to make my way to the car. You see what I'm saying? I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm trying to make my way to the car. You know what I'm saying? So y'all that can figure it out can figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, it ends up being I broke his orbital. It was blood all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
You get charged with that?
Nah. See, that's the thing about Hood Islam is
it just stays there.
Like, I've seen like straight up Royal Rumbles.
Yeah.
Like bang outs, like 10, 15 people fight. Ain't nobody called the cops. You go to the Desi suburban masjid.
Yeah.
You raise your voice. Like I've never seen a group of people love the police more than the suburban Desi masjid.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you a story from when I was a young Muslim. This is a time when most people didn't want to talk about voting, but the St. Louis Pakistanis, they were into voting.
Oh yeah.
So you had Congressman Jim Talent show up to the match, Republican, right? So we're using the bathroom at the same time. Now Jim Talent don't wash his hand. That's the first one. Like, Dad, this dirty motherfucker. and he like doing his hair like this, right?
Filthy Catholic.
Yeah, filthy Catholic. And like this, like Daisy uncle walks in, and it's like, Mr. Talent. I literally thought, man, that he was gonna perform a same-sex act in the bathroom. I mean, he was like bowing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Bro.
And I was like, yo, man. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I've never seen that kind of like adoration.
No.
And you fast forward to Ferguson. I'm out there getting tear gassed every night. I mean, I got tear gassed like 50, 60 times at least, right?
How far was Ferguson from your neighborhood?
I grew up in that area.
Okay, so
So that is your. That's
So this is one thing that our listeners or a lot of people don't know about Umar Lee. Yeah. They think, oh, this guy thinks he's black. Like, no, he grew up among black people.
Let me tell you,
they're his brother,
black, right?
My siblings, my younger siblings, are mixed. All of my nieces and nephews are mixed, and my mother, she was married to multiple black men. So I kind of come from this background. So this whole thing, like the way Americans look at race now is like, it doesn't include people like me. So like they have a strip. This is white. White is one thing. Yeah. White is some white dude from Skokie or something, or Ledoux or Joe
Hey, so
Milford's from.
let's talk about that
You know
for a
what I'm
second. Yeah, because this is kind of like.
But let me just finish.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
bit.
go ahead.
So you had some Muslim trolls, because Muslims just want a hashtag, Black Lives Matter, Muslim
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
They're not trying to do shit for real. Like I said, me, Bassem Masri, Talal Ahmed, Mustafa Abdullah, there was like 4 or 5 Muslims actually on the ground getting tear gas. I mean, I won my lawsuit against the city of Ferguson. Arrested multiple times, getting tear gas, lost my job, okay? I lost my job, I lost my apartment in St. Louis. I'm sleeping in a fucking dope house with a pistol underneath my head, okay? That's what kind of situation that put me in until I got hired by a Bosnian brother, you know, driving.
This is right after your mom passed away, or
This is before.
this is before?
This is
Okay,
before.
yeah, it's before.
So I went through a lot of hardship because of Ferguson. You had a radio personality named Mark Reardon, a conservative radio guy, every day on the radio. Umar Lee, Bassem Masri terrorist, Muslim terrorist. My inbox.
Also, he defamed you pretty much.
My inbox, you can look. I'm gonna shoot you with pig-soaked bullets. You know, it's all Islamic phobic stuff, right? None of these Muslims have my back. You know what I'm trying to say? Now that might have been different if the 2013 situation wouldn't have happened. I don't know, because it was on like a year or two later. You know what I'm trying to say? But in general, the people that had my back were the ACLU, the Arch City Defenders, non-Muslim activist organization. That's who bonded me out of jail when Ferguson was locking me up. They on the radio talking about blood, this towel head, rag head, goat fucker, you know, making all these Islamophobic things, inbox full of death threats, Islamophobic death threats. None of these Muslims.
But did you reach out to him though?
They knew, they saw like everybody else. Now Faizan Saeed, KR St. Louis, that's my man. He in Texas now. That's my man. You know what I'm trying to say? So I can't front.
Yeah.
Faizan, that's a good dude. You know what I'm saying? He's at KR Texas now. But Islamic Foundation, like the big organization, nothing. You know what I'm trying to say? So my point is, the Muslims are tweeting about it, and I'm out there losing my apartment. Nobody want to hire me. I was going to companies after this, and they said, look, man, we support what you're doing in the streets, but we've been told don't hire you.
By who? The state? I mean the local?
Companies. Like, so I was blackballed from the taxi industry. Okay. They're like, yo, we've been told don't hire you. There's going to be problems. We support what you do, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it was very difficult for me to find employment. Now, the situation has changed in St. Louis now because my friend is the mayor. I got friends, circuit attorney. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, the strides we've made since Ferguson, instead of like the old kind of white conservative democratic establishment, is a lot of friends of mine in office now. So the things have changed, but it was definitely a difficult period of time, you know. And back to Muslims. So I had Muslims trolling me. Umar Lee is just trying to get attention out in Ferguson. That's what people say that's not from St. Louis. People from St. Louis know. People that like me and don't. I've been talking about the issue of Ferguson, Flores, and North St. Louis County for years. Look up the articles.
On your own podcast too.
On my
right?
own podcast. And the articles in the St. Louis Evening World newspaper. I was talking about Ferguson and North St. Louis County so much, other people was like, yo, this is before Mike Brown. I said, stop talking. We're talking about this too much. The week before Mike Brown was shot and killed, I was at a bar in St. Louis. It's kind of like a political bar, like political thing called the Royale. A guy from City Hall and Kara Spencer, who just ran for mayor and lost to my friend Tashar Jones, were in there. We were in a heated argument because they said I talked about Ferguson, North County too much, the problems out there. I told Paul Feller, the award-winning producer of the Pruitt-Igoe Myth documentary, I said, North County's getting ready to blow. Okay? The reason I got the media attention and was featured in The Nation and The Guardian and on Al Jazeera and BBC and MSNBC, so many places, because when Ferguson happened and the media went to him, other people were saying, Umar Lee's been talking about this for years, that's what you need to talk to. So when journalists were coming to St. Louis, I was giving them the tour of Ferguson, of North St. Louis County. Other people, they would come to him, they say, you need to talk to Umar Lee. Because I've been talking about it for years. And people had been talking about other stuff. But that neck of the woods where I grew up, I had seen it was a powder cake, and I'd been talking about it. Yeah. So that's why people were coming to me. You see what I'm trying to say? Now you get some knucklehead ass Muslims that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's like, oh, Umar Lee just trying to get attention on. I've been talking about it for years. I was talking about when nobody was listening.
Yeah.
You know, I got a self-published novel called Tea Party 12 and the Muslim Brothers. If you read it, this is before Ferguson. It's all about Ferguson, Florissant, Pine Lawn, and the police officer in that is exactly like Darren Wilson, even living in the same neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You know, so those issues weren't new. They just weren't paying attention.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in light of all that, I want to talk about the current climate, man. Yeah. Because, you know, even I'm on Clubhouse and stuff like that. By the way, I just found out that I got a badge next to my name because I talk about things that people don't want to hear. And people block me. And when enough people block you, you get like a shield, like a little thing where you're a known troll.
Really?
Whatever that means. Yeah, whatever that means. But I think I don't know how.
So it's not a badge of like honor.
No. Well, it might be for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, but so the reason why I'm bringing this up though is because, look, man, you're white. Obviously, you look white, right? Mm-hmm. So nowadays, if you're talking about issues like this, nowadays they'll come out and tell you you have no business talking about black people issues.
Right. I think that's a great thing. You mentioned so, and I think it's not simple. Okay.
Of course not. Yeah, it's complicated.
So I'll say one thing. I do think these racial ideologies that progressives have introduced are like pseudosciences, and they don't account for the complexity of race in America.
The nuances.
You know, the nuances.
Yeah.
So if they want me to be like Joe Milburn, a wealthy white dude that grew up in the Vail Prophet Society in the wealthiest neighborhood of St. Louis, you know, hanging out with the heirs of the Bush fortune and shit like that, right? In country clubs, in debutante balls, right? I can't do that. That's not my background. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. But you have some of these progressives, they're so ideological and they're so rigid. You know what I'm trying to say? And most of them are very classist and elitist, which fits well in the Muslim community because there's a caste mentality, especially with South Asians. There's a heavy caste mentality.
Yeah.
You know, you kiss ass up and you look down low. You know what I'm trying to say? I can't be like that. That's not my background. You know, like there are certain nuances even within whiteness. Like if you look at Hamza Yusuf, I'm talking about back when he was a jihadi, militant, mystical, radical, right? I just said, it's kind of a weird San Francisco hippie. That was my first read. This is a blue-collar dude from St. Louis, right? I just didn't mesh with him. Like, it just like his personality was like annoying to me.
You know, plus, you know, in his background, he's comes from a family of academics.
I didn't even know that.
Okay.
It just hearing him talk, it just.
You mean like you couldn't just vibe with, you couldn't relate to him?
I couldn't relate to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with the Jonathan Brown. I just, you know, I can't relate to him. You know what I'm trying to say? But Suhaib, I can relate to. You know what I'm saying? Even though Suhaib comes from a middle class background,
but he knows the music.
Yeah,
the culture.
He knows. He's just kind of, you know, he's a downer, like Abu Noor, and you know, Abu Noor here at DePaul.
Yeah.
He's just a cool guy. You know what I'm trying to say? And he's a lawyer. He comes from a privileged background, but
he understands the nuances.
Yeah, but he doesn't come off as like a prick,
the pompous guy.
A pompous guy. You know what I'm trying to say? Now Ismail comes from a polar opposite background to me.
Ismail Royer.
Yeah. I met him before he was a Muslim. Like I'll tell this for the people on there.
Yeah.
Me and a brother named Ben were sitting there on the bench. Ismail comes in skinny with dreadlocks, Arabic tattoo. It's like, hey man, what does Islam say about revolution? You know what I mean? Because Ismail was a hardcore leftist. He was into Marx. Yeah. Okay. And what you'll find with white people, that's for rich white kids. You know what I'm saying?
They got the luxury to be that way.
Yeah. Like the white kids that I grew up around were working class kids. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
They didn't even know who the fuck Marx was or Noam Chomsky or any of this shit. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, so, but Ismail, you know, comes from West County, wealthy background, and a lot of kids that are kind of alternative, which he was, were into punk rock and into like leftist politics, right? So we're two totally opposite people. Like I'm taking him to the projects. I'm taking him to like meet gangbangers and stuff. And he's taking me to punk rock shows.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say? He's taking.
This sounds like some Run DMC shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like, Run DMC, in the whole with Aerosmith and
I
breaking through the wall, and you're like,
I took a gangbanger, Chris Redmond, rest in peace, who passed away last year. I took him to one of Ismail's punk rock shows, and I thought, look, I would say Humza Yusuf in punk rock, I don't get it. I don't get the attraction. Like you could tell me, I would never understand the attraction. In terms of, it's not a diss. It's just a statement of fact. Like I listen to punk rock music, I don't get it. Like it sounds like somebody's screaming. In terms of like,
right.
So, but it was like an experience for me to be around these kids. So I was teaching him things, and he was teaching me things. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot from Ismail, and he learned a lot from me. You know what I'm saying? But we were in a time in the Muslim community where it was dynamic, and we were going to Virginia when the Mahad was open, which was a 4-year university operated by Saudi Arabia, a branch of Medina, where you could study. So you had students come from all over the country. He was an American university, but I was in more of the Mahad crowd. You had Hispanic converts, you had white converts, Jewish converts, Desi, Hindu converts, Native American, any kind you could think of, and of course a ton of African American converts around that time. So the 90s was a time where people coming from all different types of background. But the point is that whiteness is not monolithic, okay? And blackness, like I grew up, there was a lot of black kids, let's say if they quote unquote talk proper, they would get bullied. They got their ass whooped at school. You know what I'm trying to say?
This is what I was trying to explain to people. Like, there's no such thing as appropriation.
Right.
Like, when you grow up in certain places, like if you grow up in the middle of like some small town in I don't know, Minnesota or somewhere, like in the outside the area, or maybe Oklahoma. Yeah, you're gonna talk different than you talk.
Yeah, exactly. So those black kids were put in a box and told you had to be one certain way, or you're getting bullied.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And white kids the same way. Yeah. White kids didn't like me. My mother married to a black man. My siblings are mixed. And I just never really vibed. I mean, it's like my wrestling teammates, football teammates, I vibe with them. But generally, I didn't vibe with white kids. You know what I'm trying to say?
Because you couldn't relate to them.
I couldn't relate to them.
Because they didn't come from mixed background.
And then the other thing is the music. Like most white guys, you'll see like trying to be hip and cool and stuff like that. It's like hip hop, right? Yeah. Like I was never really into music tough. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I listened to hip hop when I was a teenager, but I was never like a enthusiast.
It became identity. It was an identity for people, man.
It became an identity for people.
Yeah,
it was never an identity. Like I listened, but I was never like hardcore into music.
You were like the guy that had records and put them in the headphones and sit in the room for hours.
Exactly.
So crazy.
And like now, I might go weeks without listening to music. Any music.
Oh, I'm like that too. Yeah.
When I was growing up with Morton, these guys are all listen to hip hop, and I didn't want to be like them. I just wanted to give a finger to them because they didn't hang out with me. They had like really wealthy families that they came from and stuff. So I said, "F you, I'm gonna go to heavy metal," and I just went deep into that world. And later on, we became friends. And we ended up sharing music and stuff like that.
Music becomes an identity for people. Like
it was our like culture, our identity. Yeah.
So my first trips to Chicago, like I never went to Chicago growing up, and my first time here was with Ismail, and we went to MCC, Elston and Pulaski, and we met Amir Ali. Remember Amir Ali?
He's Umar Ali. Umar Lee. He was married to Mary Ali. Yeah.
And they had the Muslim reading room or the Islamic.
They still have it.
Yeah, they still have it. And we would go in there and sit in the classes and go make Salat MCC. Because at that time, the St. Louis Muslim was really small. There were only 2 masjids, like the Islamic Center for quote unquote immigrants, and Mu'minun, like the WG
What
masjid.
year was this?
This is like 92. And so, but then we started going up because you'd always have these Tablighi Jamaats coming through St. Louis.
By the way, did you connect with Ismail on the fact, because you mentioned you guys are very different, but just had a common interest in Islam as well, bonded you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also we were both political. So for me, it was like, I was always political. Like I was in juvenile detention reading essays on civil disobedience, books about the Black Panthers, and reading Malcolm X is what got me to the masjid to convert. Okay. Because in North St. Louis County, in the Ferguson, Florissant area, the race relations were so bad. And reading about Malcolm and Hodge, I said, "Oh man, this is something that can bring people together." Whereas Christianity is dividing people, whereas our American society is dividing people, Islam is something that can unite people. So that was really what attracted me to Islam. But it's a very blue collar environment, and I never met anybody who even like really read books or was even into politics. And then this man was someone, a Randy as we call him. He read books. You know what I'm trying to say, and he was into politics. You know what I'm trying to say. And from the beginning, I was like, man, this Mark shit is some bullshit. It's like I was never attracted to that, but at least he was reading.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say. At least he was studying.
He wasn't dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we could debate, and we still argue all the time. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from him. Just because I wasn't around any other people I could talk to about anything other than like beer or smoking weed or sports.
Music,
you know,
right.
what I'm
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like it was so limited. You know, like there were smart kids in my school, but like I didn't hang out with them. You know, like there was, like when I first started going to masjid, I found out like there was a Muslim kid in my neighborhood. I never knew him because like it was like a super nerdy Desi family.
Yeah.
Great family.
Yep.
You know what I'm trying to say? But like they were like really into the books.
Academics, right? Yeah.
And the father started. I mean, their father, Bedr Hassan, taught me how to pray. You know what I'm saying? So it was it's a really nice family. They're upstate New York now. Like he has Parkinson's disease, but it's a great family. Yeah. And so yeah.
So
yeah, but okay.
You're talking about Chicago, though.
Yeah, Chicago.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we started going up with the Tablighi Jamaat.
Yeah.
Masjid Noor. You know Masjid Noor?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Roscoe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a black African American with Abu Bakr. Masjid Dawah on
But
Foster.
Dawah, it's on the west side still.
Yeah.
On the west side, yeah.
It's on Lake Street now.
Yeah. So, because Tabligh was big. Like before Salafiyya really took over, Tablighi Jamaat was big. You know what I'm saying? Because keep in mind, St. Louis, we never had those black Sunni groups like the Dar al-Islam, Islamic Party. So, kind of the African American Muslim scene in St. Louis was really limited. Like when my teacher, Mujahid Abdul Qadir Menepta, came and who brought Sheikh Rahman Basir, like no one knew what fiqh was, no one knew what Aqidah was. People barely knew what Hadith was. You know, so that's the, if you really wanted to study, you had to go to Islamic Center, the quote unquote immigrant masjid, and study with Sheikh Mohammed Noor from Sudan, or Dr. Rana. It was a Pakistani brother, a dear brother. He wasn't a sheikh; he was like professor of anatomy, but he would teach classes and do janazas and was a halal butcher and everything, like kind of that early generation that had to do everything. That's how it was back in the day. And so, but back to what you can and can't talk about. I am conscious of it somewhat though, because like when I was like, I deleted my blog. I still have some of the material, but
just because you changed too much, is that why?
Changed too much and just, and then I lost the password. So, but y'all can subscribe on Substack. Umar Lee on Substack. Subscribe to Umar Lee. I have a weekly newsletter on Substack.
We're gonna plug all that info in the description.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts on critical race theory.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, before I get to that, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Like Marjorie Aziza Hill, who I respect, was one of my longtime haters, right? Her and her ex-husband Mark Malik. Mark was woke, and now Mark is grumpy, right? You know what I'm trying to say? But,
you mean grumpy by like he's anti-woke?
He's just grumpy. The dude is like
no, but you know what? I'm loving his Twitter
Mark
feed these days, bro.
He's in California. He needs some medical marijuana.
No, but I'll be honest though, man. But some of the stuff he's saying right now is important.
Do like the old Sunnis. Take 1 or 3, odd, pass to the right, bismillah. You know what I'm trying to say? That is one grumpy dude. You know what I'm trying to say?
I love Mark, but go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, but looking back, I did talk about things sometimes I shouldn't have talked about.
Okay.
And I think Imam Suhaib realized that too. Because Suhaib used to talk, man, he used to clown on Desis, clown on Arabs, clown on their culture, and make a lot of observations I couldn't make. And I agree with him on basically everything he said. Like save issue like getting married and the girl moving in with the parents. You can't do this shit in America. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's not my place to say that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So he overstepped his boundaries, and the Suhaib had the wisdom to see that. You know what I'm trying to say? And so I overstepped my boundaries at the time. Now I don't believe in the rigid ideology of you can't talk about this. Like I can't make a taco, or I'm trying to say, or I can't eat biryani. No. You got the right wing going off the deep end, you got the woke left going off the deep end. I don't believe in the rigidity, the rigid nature of that, but I do believe there are things, like when Hamza Yusuf was talking about Black Lives Matter at RIS convention, right?
Yeah.
And the brother just told me simply, it's not about whether I like Hamza or don't like Hamza. It's why is he even commenting on black families? You know what I'm trying to say? What does he know? You know what I'm trying to say? Like if Imam Zayd wants to get up, you know what I'm trying to say? He's like, you don't see me talking about white families in the Bay Area, and there's plenty of room.
That's a problematic
No,
argument,
but let me
man.
ask you about this though. Yeah, I want to kind of push back. So listen.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Because like, I mean, if you don't, is it because? So why is it because of the color of his skin, or is it because of the economic background, the academic background?
I think he just doesn't have the knowledge.
So let's say someone like of your skin tone
Yeah.
was saying what he said,
Yeah.
and maybe the same message, but
It would
your
depend
skin
how
tone.
I said it. It would depend how I said it. Like there's a way I can say it, and there's a way I can't say it. You see what I'm trying to say?
But you see a problem with that though?
No, I mean it's a gray area. It's a gray area.
I mean,
but I think,
put it this way:
yeah.
if they said this about the other race, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we reverse it. Let's say me as a Desi starts, or like an Arab, whatever, just starts saying stuff about white people.
Right.
It would be totally normal for me to put my place in that and say, listen, white people do this. White people have this normal.
I think it's okay. I'll put it like this. So you have one demographic of like kind of hysterical woke in Desi Muslim America, like the double doctor, like they're the marginalized and oppressed
Yeah.
grandchildren of feudal lords in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both their parents are doctors, grown up in wealthy suburbs, in the top 1%
Yeah.
of South Asian, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the top 3 or 4% of Americans in terms of wealth, right? And if you go to the Twitter, you would think they're like in Auschwitz. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, they're just. You know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, so that's.
But they can do that for the left, though. That's the
All
problem.
right, they do it from the left. So that's one thing. The marginalized, oppressed, double doctor, Marxist millionaire, right?
Right.
So that's one thing. Obviously, that's a joke, okay? And the same thing with the red rose white gentrifiers who are doing the same thing, right? Which are statistically from wealthy families, right? If they want to help the hood, leave the hood.
Yeah, get out.
Get out. It's the best thing they can do.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one thing, but there's a legit analysis of American history and culture you can make from a point of race, from a point of racism, from a point of white nationalism that you can make.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean that if anyone has studied American history, that you can make this analysis. You know what I'm trying to say? Or you can quote someone else's analysis. I think that's very legitimate. You know what I'm trying to say? But to be in the black community, where a lot of people like to opine and give advice or whatever, they have a very limited knowledge,
Understanding
of the nuance. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, but is it racist to say
for
me? No, I'm just saying it doesn't. I don't think it takes anyone to have a huge breadth of experience to know that the core basic unit of the black, at least the inner city, poor black neighborhoods, that the basic element, the basic unit, building block, the family unit is broken.
Right.
And when you say that, people lose their minds. Well, you're not black, you shouldn't say that. Well, it doesn't take.
Right,
you don't have to be a black person to say that.
But
it applies for every community.
But Darren Wilson,
didn't
know the family status of Mike Brown when he's walking down the street. You know, they didn't know the family status of George Floyd.
But you would argue though he knew. I mean, he's from the area, right? I mean, so he policed.
He wasn't
the area.
actually. I mean,
no. I mean, he wasn't.
Right, he worked.
But he worked in the area, so he knew what people were going through. I mean, he could understand in some degree that there was less privilege.
But he was coming in from an adversarial standpoint. That was one of the problems with Darren Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's driving in like almost an hour to a community where he doesn't identify, almost like an occupying force, right? Mm-hmm. So. But the point is, there are things that are universal. The relationship with the police, that's universal, regardless of family status, etc. Now, those issues of family, that's something that black imams, black masjids have been discussing. It's not that these issues are not discussed. These issues are discussed a lot, in terms of, but there's no easy
solution.
There's no easy solution. You know what I'm saying?
So by the way, I agree with you on this part too. Like that, I know that like the whole issue of police, brutality and abuse It happened that we all understand why that happens. That you have people back in the days, people who police the community were from the community.
Right.
Nowadays, you got them come from the suburbs and they're policing the city. So we know that. I mean, we get how that's a problem.
Right.
But what I want to focus on what he asked about it though, like it's CRT, right?
Yeah.
Well, before you get to that, on the Sheikh Hamza situation, I think part of the reason Sim and Mort are pushing back is not necessarily that you disagreed with Sheikh Hamza, it's the reaction. That because Imam Suhaib talked about this.
But let me go further on that.
Sure.
With Sheikh
Go ahead.
Hamza
Yeah. Go ahead.
and his teacher, Abdullah bin Bay, and Dr. Wallah Qusay, who's wrote an excellent article. You know Dr. Wallah?
Yeah.
She wrote an excellent article about Abdullah bin Bay. If you look at that UAE philosophy, which basically promotes the CARE as a terrorist organization, right?
Yeah.
So some people, like there's this thing post 9/11, Sufis are the good guys,
Salafis are the bad
Salafis
guy.
are the bad guys,
Yeah.
right? So you'll see a lot of the Salafis who get out of prison and they want to get that money for counterterrorism, and they got to become Sufi. Like, my heart was hard, and now my heart is soft. You know.
Give me the money.
Give me the money. It's basically what you got to do to get paid.
Yeah.
Because if you're still Salafi, you're not getting paid, right? So, but we know, like, the most violent Muslim organization in the history of America was the Sufi organization. Okay?
Yeah, we know
You know
which
what I'm
one too. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, Rashad Khalifa, you know what I'm saying, who left St. Louis to go out to the West Coast.
He was trying to make a cult, bro.
But I'm saying, he got hit by Sufis.
Yeah.
There wasn't no Salafis out there.
Yeah.
It was Sufis. You know what I'm saying?
He probably stole a couple of Sufi girls.
Right. Yeah. But what I'm saying is,
But in terms of terrorism, though, what
Yeah.
exactly?
oh yeah, man, they were bombing Hare Krishna places, and I mean, I could get way deeper.
Not
into
only in the U.S.,
Yeah.
but outside the U.S.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
So like,
the Salafis did the wrong kind of. They hit against American interests or whatever.
right. So I'm saying is, a Salafi or a Sufi can go into extremism.
Yeah.
It's not one thing that you
Right.
can be an extremist.
Yeah.
Shia, Sunni. We know Shia has had a lot. I mean, you look what's going on in Syria and Iraq.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. But this line, this UAE,
It's totally.
Abdullah bin Bay and Hamza Yusuf thing is not just we're against takfirism, which we all should be against takfiris. Not just we're against terrorism. How you define terrorism, but generally speaking, okay, we're against, blowing up an airplane or some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's against democracy. It's against political, I'm trying to say, like, it's against political activism or having a vote. Like, these UAE people, Saudis, the MBS, MBZ crowd, they don't want Muslims organized politically at all in America. They like monarchy, I'm trying to say. So it's not just that they're against jihadism or takfirism, they're against CARE or any kind of Muslim organization advocating for Muslim rights or Muslim voting power.
Yeah.
So I take this back. Now I don't like this kind of nerdy, I study Muslim history.
Yeah.
But, I don't, get into the nuance a lot of times, but the political philosophy that they're promoting only works if it's an absolute monarchy and an illiterate population. And there's like a scholarly class in between that's getting paid financially and sexually, historically, right? Historically, these people would have sex slaves, right? And it's just not applicable to modern times. Muslims are going to vote in America. They're going to vote in the UK. They're going to vote in France, right? And they may have policies that disagree with the government of UAE, the government of Saudi Arabia. They may disagree with Hamza Yusuf. They may disagree with Umar Lee. But Muslims are going to organize and have a voice.
Yeah.
But to tell Muslims, don't worry about the suffering in this world. Don't worry about the injustices of this world. If you feel really bad, just go break dancing around some sheikh's grave or something like that, right? People are not going to go for that. So when Islam leaves the political sphere, okay, you're against the Islamists. Okay, we can see that. There's legit critique of Islamists.
Yeah.
But you're against any kind of Muslim political organizing or any kind of Muslim. So when you leave that, the secular outlet enters. So we have a young generation of Muslims now, and even not so young, they think that to be a good Muslim, to be a 100% unapologetic Muslim is to be a leftist.
Man,
To be a communist. You see what I'm trying to say? So
I'm dealing with these people
but
too.
that's
bro.
what happens when you've told people
They're digging their
to step
heels
away
so
from
far
power.
deep
Yeah.
that they're saying, well, the alternative, if I find some kind of nuanced middle ground, I'll just be in that corner, that UAE type of class of people who are pro-oppressor, let's just say. You know, I'm not saying that they are, but every single person is, but I'm just saying, in order to distance yourself from that crowd as far as possible, you'll go as far left as possible. Like, I'm nowhere near that. And I think that's what one of the things that you're kind of hinting at, that people don't even want to find a middle ground. Like, hey, you know what? He's got a couple points there that I can agree with, and a couple of things that Umar Lee is saying that I agree with,
I think
and finding some kind of nuance, like some structured argument. You know?
No, I
So
think
for
when it's-
me-
yeah.
So for me, I can't get with. It's the American in me, right?
Yeah.
I can't get with the monarchy. I mean, I've studied the history books, right?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't glorious. It just, fucking a lot of young boys and slaves and everything else, right?
Yeah.
It's about money and power. You know what I'm trying to say? Whether it was in the name of Jesus or the name of Islam, at the end of the day, it was a handful of people monopolizing money and sex. You know what I'm trying to say? The booty of war. Okay? So, the American in me is anti-monarchy and pro-political activism. Okay?
Well, it depends on what.
It depends on what. It depends on. It depends
and who
on,
and what.
It depends on who and what. But at the end of the day, there's two people. There's two people that, for me, actually three. There's a sheikh I really like. He passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
Malcolm X, to me, is the father of American Islam. And Malcolm is what attracted so many people to Islam. This study, the 2020 Mosque study, and they talk about Islam in decline in the inner city, they put that. The two great waves, conversions in the 70s, and then in the early 90s. The hip-hop era converts like me, because of Malcolm. Because the spirit of Malcolm was about justice. So for us, Islam is intrinsically tied to justice. And that's Black Islam. I just left Philly today, this morning. Philly, the capital of Black Islam in America. Okay? I mean, Philly to me is really the capital of Islam in America. But Islam is tied to justice. Okay? Internationally, outside of the African American context, whether you like Al-Ikhwan Muslimin or not, Imam Hassan al-Banna Shaheed, to me, tried something or had a vision to try to say, okay, Muslims are in a mess. We haven't responded well to the modern world. You see what I'm trying to say? Let's try to take the principles of Islam and see how we can apply them as a movement to make more just Muslim society.
To shift public opinion.
Right. Now, we know Ikhwan Muslimin is a political organization. They do a lot of shady stuff. They're interested in political power. They'll cut corners. This is the old Salafi and Ikhwan argument in the 90s. Is that the Ikhwan will forsake
The principles
for political power.
Right, yeah.
And I used to think, man, you're unfair to these guys. These guys are good guys. They are.
Yeah.
I think they mean well.
I love the Mass Brothers,
Yeah.
right?
I will say this much, though.
But you've seen it now. As long as you're pro-Palestine, it don't matter.
Yeah, but I will say, so just on the because you mentioned this,
The greater good.
I think the Ikhwan is good not in power, but as an aid to power.
As an aid to yeah.
Like, we know when like, for example, when Mohammed Morsi came into power,
Right.
they had every opportunity to kind of change some things around, but it was just, there's no clear direction.
Right.
So they're good on the sideline where they kind of build the hype and like they do work for the people, they
That
do
could be true.
grassroots stuff. But I think when it comes to power, they just don't know what to do with
I
it.
want y'all to read this book.
Well, the problem is pragmatism and utilitarian, where you're just doing the end justifies the mean.
Read that.
Winning the Modern World for Islam by Abdussalam Yassin.
So he was a Moroccan Sufi, quote unquote Islamist, but he had a different brand of Islamism. And if you read his books, he's a great writer.
Like a Dam Fodio Islam?
Kinda, but it's really unique. You know what I'm trying to say? So I would really recommend, I really have read his books, and I'm trying to contemplate on the words more. But as you see, I'm a big reader. This is just in the last month. Destiny of the Republic. This is a biography of President Garfield. Reopening Muslim Minds. That's the Mustafa Iker book. Oswald's Tale. Norman Mailer.
So before we get into the books, I want to let's talk about this critical race theory thing that Sim wanted to ask about.
I don't pay. Hold on, I gotta get a soda real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I drove from Philly this morning.
Yeah.
Hold up. My road trip, Memphis, Tennessee was the Civil Rights Museum and the Midtown Mosque of Hamza Abdul Malik, who was of St. Louis lineage on his father's side. Nashville, Tennessee State Capitol. Washington D.C. did all the Capitol monuments. New York City, stayed in Brooklyn, did all the New. I'm taking my daughter. I'm showing my daughter the East Coast. Philly this morning, and now I'm in Chicago tonight.
Chicago Sharif, put some respect on that.
I'm the road warrior.
No, but while you're doing that, I just want to kind of frame this thing about CRT. So, I want to get your take. I mean, I don't want to get in the whole deep technological aspect, but do you believe that racism has to be prejudice plus power?
Not just that. The entire organization of society by race and other features.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to know this part first. Like, I want to know you first, because I think this is a big part. Because see, look, critical race theory is good in terms of legal law framework, right?
Right.
But when they apply it and move out of academia and put it into activism, it's usually about racism. Okay. It's about prejudice plus power.
I'll say it like this. I don't really know what CRT is, and I don't really care. I see people arguing about it on social media. I just think race is too complex in America, too dynamic for any kind of theory. You know what I'm trying to say? There may be some validity to it. There may be some things that are not valid. But I associate CRT with intersectionalism, intersectionality, and I don't believe in intersectionality. And the reason I don't believe in intersectionality is, let's go back to Ferguson. So Mike Brown killed leaving a Muslim store. Then we had Kajima Powell killed leaving a Palestinian store. Von Derek Meyer killed leaving a Palestinian store down the street from my mother's house. Okay. And there was a group of African Americans led by a Muslim, Anthony Shahid, who's kind of like a nationalist type, leading a boycott of Arab stores, right? But what happened in Ferguson, anyone would tell you, is it was organic, like for weeks. It was white people from a group called Southside Solidarity that showed up with the Black Lives Matter sign. White people brought the Black Lives Matter chant to Ferguson. Then you had like these big NGOs start showing up, okay? Some Muslims, like Dr. What's her name? Maya Hassan, she showed up. Some other like academic types, you know what I'm saying, who showed up. Not to say they did anything good or bad, because I was in the streets at night. I wasn't in the daytime because I had to work, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But the to get paid, so what these big white NGOs did is they started plucking people to get paid, and they fit a profile. No black males, no one like threatening, you know what I'm trying to say, and they all started talking about intersectionality, right? And so one of those things was Ferguson to Palestine. The real Ferguson to Palestine issue was, okay, Palestinians are selling pork and liquor on every block in North St. Louis. That's the real issue. If you want to talk about the intersectionality between Palestinian and the black community, it's you go to Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, Cleveland, Memphis, Houston, and several other cities. Not in every city, but in those cities, definitely in some more. You can't get pork and liquor in the black community unless it's from an Arab, and in St. Louis, they're almost all Palestinians. In New York, maybe Yemenis, or in the Bay, Yemenis as well. Okay, so don't dance on the blood of Mike Brown to try to make a political point about Palestine when you haven't addressed the anti-black racism that's rampant. When people ask where your story is, you say Habib. You know what I'm saying? You know, say don't dance on that to try to get,
translate that. Because
like
I know what that means.
Slaves.
Like the land of the slaves, like area of the slaves. You know what I'm saying? So don't try to get clout for Palestine when you haven't addressed the anti-blackness in your community.
Is that what they call performative politics?
It's performative politics,
exactly.
Right? But you had big NGOs that were flying people to Palestine. You see what I'm trying to say? There was big money behind that and a narrative created. You know what I'm trying to say? So my point is, when I see intersectionality, not just with Palestinians. There are some parallels, by the way. I'm not saying there's not, because they're in oppressive situations.
Especially in Gaza.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I see wealthy second generation, like South Asian, particularly women, not all women, particularly women. You know, the double doctor type, you know, that grew up in Naperville or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and
is oppressed.
is it marginalized and oppressed,
Right.
you know. Grandpa's a feudal lord back home with servants, you know, rubbing his feet, you know, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And they are using the language of the black struggle.
Yeah.
As if it's their own. But they're not addressing the anti-blackness in the Desi community.
Or in the Palestinian
Or
community.
the Palestinian community. Not only that, I've seen these woke Muslims who are Desis, or it's mostly Desis to be honest, but you know, some are Arabs, but who are, like, they'll call blacks like Uncle Toms, Coons, you know, this, you know, like, that's really overstepping your boundaries. You know what I'm trying to say? You know, like, we had a situation in Dallas where like a black police like captain or something was coming to the masjid to speak. You know, I wouldn't have invited him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not interested in that kind of event. But like, you had some like non-black kind of the woke.
The woke crowd.
Woke crowd.
Calling him
We're calling him like a sellout and this, you know what I'm saying? And you had a black carapace. It's like, hold on. You know, you can't call this brother, you know, this just because he decided to join the police. I mean, you know, it's that nuance.
You know what the problem is? Zach, they would have said this stuff like outside and like maybe about 10 years ago, they'd have punched in the jaw.
Right.
That's the problem. And like I'm saying, like, there are people who grew up. Like, I mean, I grew up in an area where it was mixed, and I had a lot of people, and so I understand that. But what you're saying is when you have a doctor from Naperville who doesn't know the first thing about how to. I mean, they be clutching their purse, walking on the south side, and rolling up the windows and locking the doors. That person talking about this issue, it bothers me too.
Well, you know, on that note, I think the other thing I've seen, it's not even the U.S. It seems even worse globally when you have like people outside of Americans. So for example, you got this guy named Mamadou. I don't know if you know him or not.
What's his name?
Mamadou Tall.
Oh, I know him. He's in the UK.
Yeah, but he's got a podcast called The Malcolm Effect or Young Malcolm. And I'm like, if I know nothing else about you, the fact that you're a descendant of Gambian royalty, and you live in the UK, and you want to appropriate Malcolm X for yourself, you call that to me is like extreme.
You know, I mean, I like the brother. I mean, he's a nice brother. In my interaction with him, so I've been having to listen to his podcast, but you know, I mean,
one of the effects
but the question is this though.
Yeah.
He's devoid of the Black American struggle.
The thing about Malcolm is
I'll give you an example, right? Because I was on a WhatsApp group with him, and he told me that like, you know, he said something to me like, "Hey, you know," I was asking about like who. Cause I'm like, first of all, you're in the UK, so like who should I learn to? Who should I go to in the
Dawah man.
American community to learn about like which imams would you recommend for like white supremacy to learn about white supremacy? And I was like, what do you think about Imam Dawood Walid? You know, who's active with Kerry? He's like, no, he's not good. It's like, you know, you should go meet Ubaydullah Evans. I was like, did you know Ubaydullah Evans was my neighbor? Yeah. And I told Ubaydullah this. I was like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, you know, because he was on, I guess they did a show together or something, right? And I was like, this is where you don't understand. Like, listen, we live in Chicago. Like, to me, the frustration is that there's automatic assumption. I was talking to a brother, I think in Australia one time, all right? And I was telling him like, you know, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine from the South Side, and he saw the hate I was getting when I had Richard Spencer on Twitter. Yeah, right.
That was a bad move.
You know, but anyways, but at least you're here. We have this conversation. Like some cat straight up like, I might as well like
cancel.
Straight up.
Let me tell you a funny Richard Spencer story real quick. So you know this?
Did you get a punch in on him?
Nah. I don't like.
He didn't sucker punch you, did he?
That was, you know, that was I don't like how he got punched. It was a weak punch.
Okay.
Like this, like.
Are you saying it should have been stronger?
It's just, look, you got the Bloods, the Crips, the Vice Lords, Disciples, Latin Kings, Southsiders. St. Louis, we got the Downtown Taliban. All these different. and Antifa, a bunch of liberal arts grads who weigh like 86 pounds, never been in a fight in their life. If you ever want to see a pathetic fight, watch the alt-right and Antifa fight in Portland. It is, I mean, it's a desperate cry to get your children in wrestling, boxing,
it's patty cakes, bro.
I mean, it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
So to think that these puny liberal arts guys are what stand between America and fascism is a very frightening thought. But anyway, so there was this situation recently. Issam Omesh's daughter, Abrera Omesh, she's on the school board in Fairfax County.
Yeah.
You know, she was in hot water, like, or Palestinian.
Sure.
And a friend of mine went to the rally to support her, right? And he was at the rally, and a dude comes walking up, and he was like, yo, that's the racist. That's Richard Spencer. You know what I'm saying? And the guy next to him said, nah, that's Jonathan Brown. You know what I'm saying?
Jonathan, we love you, bro. I'm like,
what I mentioned that was like because this guy Mamadou, he made this tweet on me, so I was like, listen, I would say I had pleasant interaction with him on WhatsApp, right? You know, it wasn't like beef, but then he comes at me on Twitter like making Dawah against me.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about that. What did he say?
No, he was like, Mahinda podcaster and his ilk aspire for global fascism. May you never find peace.
Well,
to me, I was like, all right. So now, this is my. So I've said it before on the show. On my show, I'm saying like on this show, I've said like CRT. I think there's value in understanding it as a tool, but it has crept in so bad when that has become like, I mean, this is supposed to be a student at Azhar,
right?
And he got the nerve to make Dawah against me based upon some dude I interviewed.
And this has become like the aqidah for them, by the way.
I don't, like I say, I don't know what CRT is.
Right.
But I hate philosophy. You know what I'm trying to say? I hate abstract.
That's your Salafi days, man.
You know, yeah. I mean, I just hate, you know, like I was on a Clubhouse, like this is a while ago, and this convert was talking about the struggles of a convert, like his new converts. He's like giving him advice. He's like, yeah, I'm a Maliki, and I decontextualize and study this. And like, what the fuck? You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, why is it always Malikis?
Like, why is it so fucking hard?
No, you know what that is? I'll be honest. Look, man. I think the whole Salafi burnout created the CD culture.
The CRT culture?
Yeah,
no, CD.
You know,
CD,
CD
Maliki culture.
You know, everyone's like, oh, I gotta be.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this guy.
But look, if you go to Cairo,
I've been there. I lived there.
You go to, like, dudes are not like sitting in the souk in Cairo like studying Shafi'i fiqh.
No, they're not.
You know what I'm trying
paper.
to say? Like, you know, like it's like only like converts in America. Like, here's one thing: it's a convert here in Chicago. I ain't gonna say his name, but so there's a certain type.
Did we say his name before the show?
Yes. You know, so there's a certain type of convert, right?
All right.
And I love this brother, so it's not a diss, but it ain't just him. It's a bunch of people like this, right? Especially when white converts, especially, you know, like their job on Facebook, Dawah, calling to Allah, right? Motherfucker, where's your paycheck from? You know what I'm trying to say? How are you paying the rent? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, look, man. Islamic identity can't be your only thing in life, right? So when I get like pissed off at Muslims, I'm still a huge boxing fan. I'm still a wrestling fan. I'm still a St. Louis Cardinals baseball fan. I still read books. I read tons of books on American. Like I just read Norman Mailer's Oswald's Tale. Just read a biography of Garfield, President Garfield, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I love American history. I love all history, right?
I read Garfield the Cat.
Right. So I'm saying is, like, you got a certain convert, like their whole life is Muslim stuff, right? Like they don't go to the movies, they don't listen to music, they don't watch sports, they don't do anything but talk about and argue about Islam. And you know, like in my time, they were going to the masjid. Now they don't go to the masjid. It's like sitting, smoke hookah and eat hummus with Muslims or something. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's not healthy. You gotta have you gotta have a balance.
A work-life balance.
You gotta have a work-life balance, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, this can't be your only thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was finish up the Spencer point. It was like, so one of the brothers from the South Side, we were talking, I showed him the tweet, and he was like, listen, man, I'm not a fan of Richard Spencer, let's be honest, right? But he was like, but this is also stupid virtue signaling because, and I think this is what you're alluding to earlier, is that people who are in other parts of either in the suburbs or other parts of the world where they're detached from the situation want to comment on it. And he's like, listen, man, people are getting shot in Chicago like every day. There's like that's what we're dealing with.
Well, here's the thing about that is so St. Louis has the #1 murder rate in the country.
Okay.
And obviously, with me, with 3 family members in the last few years, it's a personal issue. If you go in the black community, violence is the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about it. People will say, man, summertime coming. Because summertime is the most violent time of the year. They're like, man, you know what I'm trying to say? But the progressive movement, who kind of frames the narrative, is a middle class to upper class movement. They're in the gentrified neighborhoods, you know, eating avocado toast, sipping on lattes, kale smoothies, you know, all that stuff, right? And they're not really affected by it.
Yep.
You know what I'm trying to say? And that's who funds these movement and frames the narrative, right? So it's really downplayed. But if you go, like if you go on the streets of the south side of Chicago or North St. Louis or West Baltimore or Southeast DC or North Philly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there's more people talking about the violence in the community than anything else, right? So it's being talked about, but the people that are kind of framing the narrative on social media and other things are not amplifying it because it doesn't fit their narrative.
How do you think the narrative should be formed, though? Well, I mean, let's just say you were to frame the narrative right now.
So to bring it closer to home, since post 9/11, there's a big thing in the Muslim community framing the narrative. They said reframing the narrative.
Right.
So they said the narrative is that Muslims are terrorists and are a threat. We're going to reframe the narrative that Muslims are productive citizens, that we are contributing mightily to American society,
right?
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, basically Muslims, hey, we really love white people. You know, that kind of stuff. We're not a threat. And that's the narrative that they wanted to possess. And then there became the progressive thing that was kind of funded by these foundations and academic institutions that would say, hey, you know, Muslims are, you know, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm kind of like opposed to the whole framing the narrative thing. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think people should just be telling stories and let people decide the narrative. You see what I'm trying to say? Because always there's an agenda always behind framing the narrative.
Well, the thing is, you're a political activist. You're different from me. I have no faith in the political establishment the way it is right now in America, that it would ever do a single thing for black people or any kind of underprivileged people in the West. So if you want political action done, they say you have to create a narrative around this, around a certain subject matter, something that everyone can coalesce around.
It should go from the ground up, not from the top down, from the grassroots. So, look, man, I mean, we've been able to make a lot of changes in St. Louis due to our political activism. There's no question about that.
I'm talking on the federal level, by the way.
Well, I mean, everything started locally, you know what I'm saying? And we've been able to really, and we're in the process, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I may not agree with every one of them, but we're definitely able to make some positive changes in St. Louis. And, you know, I've been a part of a lot of that. And, you know, I mean, last summer, we had even Trump was talking about what we were doing.
Yeah.
You can read an article on St. Louis Magazine. It was talking about our St. Louis monument thing. You know, we're trying to bring down the monument to the Crusader King of the night. And so the governor of Missouri goes into the White House, and this is on camera. And Trump says, "You're not going to change the name of St. Louis, are you?" Because that was my campaign. Yeah. So St. Louis Magazine wrote an article about that. So, but
what did you want to call it?
Well, that would be up to the
other people.
You'd have to get a new baseball cap, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to. All your gear would have to go out.
This would be a throwback. This would be a throwback.
Yeah.
Like a St. Louis Browns. You know, the Orioles were the Browns. You know what I'm saying? It would be like a
or the old St. Louis Cardinals.
Old St. Louis Cardinals football.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I was the team, the Big Red. That was my team. You know, then they moved to Arizona and got the Rams, won the Super Bowl. They go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, is this like a Hindu deity
Oh,
or
no,
something
bro.
like that?
No, this is
Is that,
Salahuddin.
is that a Hindu deity?
This is Salahuddin's armor, bro. This has the entire Quran on there.
Okay, man. I also get the Tablighi Jamaat out of here, man. Call up Master Noah, man. You need to go 40 days. You know the problem going
There's some other podcasts out there that have like a Buddha in the corner or something. We have
You know the problem going
Salahuddin
40
sitting on our
days
table.
Yeah.
is
Can't believe you think we on the manhaj.
I mean, I know what.
Yeah,
I
you
know
can't be
what,
upon
hey,
that
man, it's
shit, bro.
2021.
I
But
don't know about him, but I'm on the manhaj, bro.
But you know the thing about it is, man, is sometimes I think about, man, let me go 40 days in the path, right? Number one, I don't like the food. I don't like Tablighi food. They be eating that cream cheese and honey and
Cream cheese and honey.
Yeah, in the morning.
I thought it was desi food.
No, that's Tablighi
That's
Jamaat.
what they
Oh,
eat.
really?
Who
That's
else
what
goes
they
to
eat.
Tabligh?
That's what they eat.
No, but I didn't know cream
Yeah,
cheese was
bro.
part
Yeah,
of desi
yeah.
food.
They had cream cheese and honey in the morning on paratha rolls.
Yeah.
And then for evening time, they got rice and potatoes that's greasy
Yeah.
as
Can
hell.
you bring your own food like in a backpack and just
I
You
think
could,
so,
but somebody would eat
go to
it
your
all.
car and
Yeah,
somewhere?
or Uber Eats everything.
And then
Somebody would eat it all.
Then the second thing is, I can't sleep on the floor no more like that, man. I can't. I need a mattress.
Yo, you know what I miss though? I'm not gonna lie. I would sleep on the floor if I get somebody massaging my feet to wake me up for Fajr.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can massage my feet for an extra 20 minutes, but I wouldn't mind, bro.
Okay.
That's how they woke you up for Fajr?
Yeah, what
That's how
happens
they-
is.
that was not my experience.
Oh,
man.
really? Oh, so for me, when I would go there, I would purposely take a little extra nap on the ground, like I did
Yeah.
my little thing. And when they come wake you up, they believe that it was, I guess they had this policy that was against their religion to wake somebody up suddenly, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like the shaitan does that to people. So they had to come on and be like massaging you like this. And they
Bro, that's the one thing. One thing I didn't like about the Tabligh, it wasn't just. I mean, look, I love those brothers, and they're everyone has their path towards Islam, and no disrespect, but there's some effeminate nature about
Yeah,
those guys. That, and especially with the Desi guys. There's many other variations of Tabligh. There might be some tough guys out there in the Arab world or the Caucasus. I don't know,
Right.
but at least from my own experience with our Desi crowd who was Tabligh, they were very effeminate and it really bothered me. And I'm like, this is not the way Islam should be. It just, at least the way. And I know they're trying to be really respectful because they're interrupting, dinner or whatever when they're at my door. And I teach my kids like, hey, if they ever not come knock, because we were in a Muslim neighborhood for a couple of years, and if these guys come knocking, just say I'm sleeping, and you won't be lying, kids, because I'll run upstairs, I'll go to bed. Okay, so you guys are not lying, you're in the clear. Like, okay,
I'm not gonna lie
okay.
though. One time, they came over to my house.
Yeah.
I must have been like 17 years old.
Yeah.
No, 17. I didn't give a shit, nothing. I mean, I would do all kinds of dumb stuff. So they had rang a doorbell. I opened the door. I'm like, oh, you know what? I gotta smoke a cigarette anyway. So I just come outside and I said, light a cigarette. And this guy's like, brother, we walk all the way from Indiana. I said, okay.
Imagine that 2.5 hours a day.
How do they know you? So do they have all the Muslim
They have
addresses?
they have
No,
a address list, bro.
they ask people,
They ask
hey,
other people, like, hey, do
they
you know
ask
where the
them.
Muslims are?
But you know what, man?
So, yeah.
I respect the Tabligh. I love those brothers, but some of that shit crazy too.
Yeah.
Like I remember, the story they tell. Like they tell the same stories all the time, right? There was a man who left his house, went 27 years into the path of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and then he came back, and he came in his house, and his son drew a sword and said, "Who is this man?" He says, "Oh, I am your father." And I was like. And I remember thinking, man, this is bullshit.
So what happened was like these guys were like coming out. I'm like, brother, we walked from Indiana just to come here and give you dawah.
Yeah, they be walking from. I remember when I was a kid. I was in high school. They had a Jamaat walking from St. Louis to New York City.
Hey, but you know what's wild? You know what's wild though?
What?
Before the Salafi dawah reached America,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia was giving them wagons to drive around in.
Yeah,
They were buying them station wagons.
but
My
you know,
uncle told me.
they're banned now. Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia.
but I'm saying my uncle had told me because he was pretty big in the Tabligh. He's like, Saudi Arabia gave us 3 station wagons.
Yeah.
And it's like in the 80s. I'm like, oh,
So someone in
Yeah,
the chat is saying like, for years you guys have been throwing shade at the Tabligh Jamaat. It's
no,
not-
I love them though. Wait a minute.
Bro.
I'll say this much though. They are good because they have good. I learned from the mannerisms. Like I learned how to be patient with people when they're talking. I'm telling you, listen, man. When you have to ask somebody for their number and the email address after a 30-minute an hour talk, that's some patience to hold back, right?
Yeah.
And I will say this much: they bring people to the masjid, but that's about it.
Imam Sohaib is a Tabligh story because he used to roll with them, I guess.
Yeah,
back
I
in the
remember
day.
that. I remember.
So here's a story one time when there was this brother used to sell like porn, like Penthouse and Hustler and all that stuff in the stores, right?
Yeah.
The Muslim brother, right? So then a bunch of Tablighi guys rolled up in there, big beards and everything. They went up there and they were like, they got all this. They picked up all the porn. They're like, "Yep, we're gonna buy all this." And the guy was like all phased because he's a Muslim guy. He's Tablighi dudes are about to buy all this Penthouse and Hustler, right? And then they were like, you know, brother, why are you buying this? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and then they called them out like, you so you're selling it. You know, and then they kind of like the guy started crying and stuff and like repented or whatever.
You know, I can never get into porn. You know, like when I was coming up, like there was no.
That's how you're gonna take this right now.
There was no cell phones, right? And
you guys never rode around the forest and stuff, finding naughty magazines. That's what we did.
Like every once in a while we'd have a kid like would tear a page out of like his dad's magazine.
Yeah.
We always found stuff in the forest, riding bikes in the forest.
That way I would pull stuff out of the dad's Playboy magazine.
Dude,
I gotta ask you something, bro. I didn't know about this, man. I don't know why. The first time this shocked me, bro. So I went to this American dude's house. I met him as Peter. I went to his house, bro, and his dad had like this stack of like Playboys in the bath. I was gonna go take a piss in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
I walk in, there was literally a stack of Playboys, and this is not even like his mom was cleaning it up, putting it away.
Nah,
I didn't get it.
I think that's some people. I mean, I never had that experience growing up. You know, I never see my dad look at porn. Like, you know, like I look at Instagram models sometimes. Like I'm in a band. Like I'll follow 20 or 30 big booty Instagram models. You know, the ones I like. Then I'll feel guilty. I want to be a good Muslim, and I'll unfollow them. But that's all I need.
Right.
A little twerking, a little that little video, cute face, big booty, big bang.
So you're not corrupted by the whole nakedness right now.
No, I just need to a
little push.
A little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I remember when we were kids, man. It was just funny to us, right? I remember. So I'm 10 years. My brother was born in '91. He was born the day Magic Johnson retired from the NBA, November 7, '91.
I remember that.
And I was staying with my.
After the Bulls beat him. After the Bulls beat him.
Yeah, right. So I remember, and my boy.
And then he came out had AIDS. All of a sudden.
Was a Lakers fan, right? So he stayed. But anyway, she's like, "Hey, Maheen, come here." Yeah, there was this guy that came to our house like 2 weeks ago, like visiting my parents. Some like distant relative or something, and he left behind a whole stash of like Desi porn. He busted out. I was like, "Whoa!" First time you see Desi porn.
There's Desi porn.
There was in '91. There was and like full blown Desi porn. We're like we're flipping through. I'm like, "Dang, this is like we're like 10 years old." We're like,
it's a magazine.
Magazines, dude.
You grew up in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
What part?
Columbus.
Yeah, I had a cousin up there in Dublin.
My parents live in Dublin.
Yeah, man. It's a crazy situation because like we had a string of bad luck in my family.
Okay.
My grandparents passed. My cousin in Dublin shot himself. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
wow.
Yeah, bad situation, man. Like a day before my birthday. I think I'm related to my birthday. I don't think anything to do with my birthday. But I stopped by Dublin and I saw them in Dublin, Ohio, man. He was working for the Ohio National Guard, the military. But yeah, porn, man. Like, what I don't understand now is, and I don't try to judge these sisters because, you know, basically,
money's money.
My iman is weak. If they want to be haram, you know, I'll probably go there with them. You know what I'm saying? So I try not to judge it. You know what I'm saying? Like that, right? Keep in mind, when I was coming up, like there was like this age gap. There were like Muslim little girls and like old women. Like older. Like there were no like when I was
middle.
Oh yeah.
Like when I was coming up, like there were no like in St. Louis, like there were literally no Muslim girls of my age.
Yeah. You're like a middle generation.
Yeah, because, well, Muslim immigrants were still new to America.
So I didn't meet Muslim women my age until I went to the East Coast, until I lived in New York and D.C., right? So my point is that the Muslim sisters have the thirst traps now. Like they wearing hijab, but like you can see, like they're in a position where you can see they've been doing them squats. You know what I'm trying to say?
You remember when hijabi was like complete? Like if a girl wore hijab, you knew that like she was like the nun.
Now they're like in DSL poses. You know what I'm trying to say? And like and all that, man. It's
thirst traps, man.
And the thing is, see, this is why I believe in muta is because. Muslim,
are you serious about this?
I'm serious.
I thought you were.
No, how you justify that, bro? Because look, if you could just say like, "Hey, look, I'm just banging, right? I'm smashing," but you could, I mean, you actually believe that muta is actually legit?
Okay, let me just say this: Muslims are fucking so much now. You know what I'm trying to say? And
I'm shocked by the statement, by the way. I must be sheltered as hell.
Yeah, you sheltered, man. But it's the number one rule is just it has to be secret. No one can know. That's the big Muslim thing. Mm-hmm. No one can know. No one can. The honor. You know what I'm saying? You know. So, by the way, every time a Muslim get caught fucking little kids, they're always about the honor of the brother. Mm-hmm. Like fuck them kids. You know what I'm trying to say? It's the honor of the brother. You know what I'm saying?
There's some people we know who did that too. Yeah. And it bothered me. That's why I can't stand it.
Happened in Chicago, happened in St. Louis, happened in Dallas. Yeah. Like I won't go to Irving Masjid because they've had 3 sex scandals. You know what I'm saying?
But any place it's happened, bro, I won't step a foot in that place anymore.
They've had 3 sex scandals. You know what I'm saying? After they fired Imam Nick, or you know,
right? Because he called it out.
Because he called it out. I was done with them. But anyway, what the fuck was we talking about?
About your Muta question, bro.
Your wife's Muta legit.
So look,
everybody getting it except me, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, right. So look, I'm keeping my options open for the ISNA convention. Like ISNA, like the attendance could shoot up if Muta was on the platform. You know what I'm trying to? Because look.
Why don't you go to Iran, bro?
What I know for a fact, because I got the reputation of exposing scandals. Nearly every celebrity imam, and as in all of them, is doing misyar muta like that, right? All the entertainers, you know, when I say all, I would say well in excess of 90% of both, right? But they got like some diabolical shit, like women signing NDAs and stuff, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
so you mean like contracts?
Yeah, you got Muslim women right now who you know on social media who have signed NDAs. They've been fucking imams, you know what I'm saying? And they gave them money to be silent, okay? That's to me, that's worse than just dating. There's an elder, Ibrahim Raimi, he passed away. I love this brother. We worked together at Mass. When I told him about, you know, like the Salafi, like I admire the Salafis in Philly marrying 20, 30, 50, 60, 100 times, right? Because they're honest. They're openly in polygamy. They don't have secret second wives. They have open second and third wives. You know what I'm trying to say? You know, they don't have secret plural marriage. It's open. You know what I'm trying to say? But the thing is, especially when you talk about Desis and Arabs, especially the Desis, they're trying to be accepted into mainstream white society. And in mainstream white society, polygamy is not a thing. And serial marriage is not a thing. You see what I'm trying to say? So
yeah, I don't know.
So I'm saying is why not just be real with it? Kind of keep it into some like general Islamic framework.
You know, why wouldn't you just bring polygamy back? I mean, just
I'm all for it.
Like, I mean, just saying,
I'm all for it. I don't think the sisters are out for that.
I'm all for it.
But hold on, let's be honest. It's not their choice. So what I'm saying is that like
it's their choice because they want to agree to the nikah.
No,
I'm for it.
No. But what I'm saying is that instead of saying make muta legal, right? I'm saying or just use
because
the principle.
People don't want to get married for real. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
They got some guy at college they want to fuck. You know what I'm trying to say? They got some guy on their what do you call it? What's the new social media group house, chat house?
I don't know. It's Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. They heard his voice and it's making them tingle between their legs. You know what I'm trying to say? They just want to fuck. They're not really trying to split the bills and do some financial.
Yeah, but I gotta ask you this though. So look, man. Right. I mean, I get all that, man. People are gonna be messed up. They're gonna do crazy things.
And
right?
we're in a hypersexualized society.
We are. I get it.
Look, man, let me tell you something. I lost my virginity. I was 12 years old. Okay.
What the?
12 years old. It was a week before my 13th birthday. You know.
Where? You gotta give some context. You can't just put that on the table.
Is it your son like 12?
I got a 12-year-old child too, and I'm making dua. You know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is I lost my virginity at 12, right?
Damn.
I mean, we were having like threesomes in high school and shit. You know what I'm trying to say? So like you get in the Muslim, also this hyper conservative. You know what I'm trying to say? And like you're around like these Arab dudes and Desi dudes who are like scared of women and shit like that. And it's like you really can't vibe. That's the part you got. Like people just go along with it. Yeah, man. Yeah, like talking about family. It's like but your dynamics is not like that. My point is, people are growing up in a hypersexualized society.
No, I get that. But what I'm trying to say is like this: to address that issue, why don't we address it from the framework that we know? Because look, the bottom line is that look, man. We got kids that are learning about all kinds of stuff by the time they're like 10. They know everything on TikTok, Snapchat, everything. It's all out there. They know about everything. They know more than their average immigrant that came over here
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, I already know. Don't remind me, man. I already
Right.
know. You know
So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is this: is that, like, in my personal opinion, I say we should get if kids at 12 and 13 are trying to get busy and down.
Yeah.
I say we just get them married.
Well, the problem with that is it's not a new idea. So if you look at a lot of the grassroots Sunni movements out of the 70s, they were doing that. They were doing that. You know what I'm trying to say? They were doing that in the 70s. They were doing that in the 80s. They were doing it in the 90s. And the result is you have a lot of women now with Muslim names that are not Muslim no more. You know what I'm trying to say? Because the women got the shit end of the stick. You know what I'm trying to say? Married off repeatedly as teenagers, or married in polygamy as teenagers. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is this though: we as like men and fathers and potential fathers and stuff, you have to like raise. Because hey, look, here's the thing: like when you raise, at least I know like in other communities, when you're raising a kid or a daughter, right? You're saying, hey, look, you got to go to school, you got to get good grades, you got to get to college, you got to get a degree, you got to get a job. It's never about hey, let's build you up to get married.
Right.
I'm talking about a man coaching his ear, okay, on Clubhouse, and this man is like I think mid 40s, got 2 wives, 12 kids.
Yeah.
Okay. MashaAllah. His son is 16 years old, about to get married.
Yeah. See, I've seen this so many times.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it just never worked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
So
Well, here's the thing. Majority of women give the vagina in exchange for security. But the problem nowadays is that the guy doesn't want to provide security. He's just like, F it, you're on your own.
Correct.
You had fun, I had fun.
Right.
And you better figure it out after this. And they feel betrayed by that exchange that
I
they
also
had.
think Muslim women have an exaggerated sense of the worth of vagina. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think it's too expensive for him.
The price of a vagina in America is a blunt. Okay?
And the price they want is
you
like a
explain?
gold brick. No, he's right.
What does he
no,
mean? What do you mean?
So here's the thing. What he's saying is that if you want to do it the haram way, you can get it for nothing.
Right.
And if you want to get married, you got to pay. You got to give your left arm for it.
Right.
Yeah, but you can get that cheap stuff too, but you're gonna get that same quality of woman too. You want that you want a smart someone who's gonna be the
I got
mother
that.
of your kids.
No.
Someone
What he's
who has a
saying,
brain.
No.
You're talking about for marriage.
Yeah.
For marriage.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree for marriage. For marriage, 100%. But sex is cheap in America. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
See, you can't act like you're in Saudi Arabia where sex is like some very, or at least it was before MBS, who knows now. It was some kind of difficult, it was like discovering oil. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like the price of vagina is a blunt in America, you know, or a joke. Or just a compliment.
You can buy a drink and that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Or just a like on Instagram in the DM. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm saying? So you can't act like.
But look, let me ask you. Let me tell you this though. So right now, I feel part of the problem is that a lot of dudes don't feel like that when they're getting married, that it's worth what they're paying for it. Like me, what I'm saying is that it's not just about like
we ain't worth. The men aren't worth.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the women aren't worth. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I would agree, but I'm saying, but I look, and this is kind of what I was talking about was I think that there is this attack on the male in a lot of ways, and it could be a reaction to the old, because look, see in America we had this movement where because there was no rights for women, it just went completely snowballed into this whole feminist movement, right?
Right.
Because they didn't have no rights,
Right.
and the reaction to that is. Like the men, it was, it was going more to the, whatever they call the patriarchy. But now this attack on masculinity, like everything is, like the way we're talking right now is toxic to them. It is, it's what's the other word they use? It's
Violence.
Yeah, violence.
Violent.
It's triggered. And what I'm saying is men are men, right? I'm not saying that don't have respect or whatever. But what I'm saying is let men be men. We have testosterone for a reason. Right. It makes us competitive.
But
it makes us dominant.
Here's the issue that Muslims have to face. Part of the reason you see the growth of feminism amongst Muslim women, okay, and I could tell you personal examples, is all the rights that Islam enshrines upon women, the ideal, right, is not practiced. You know what I'm trying to say? And so a lot of Muslim girls who become women, they grow up and their fathers are very bad to their mothers. You know what I'm trying to say? They're very bad to and they see them being hypocritical. You know what I'm trying to say? and that gives them a negative perception of Muslim men.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say? And look, America, one of the differences between the 90s and now, and I got to wrap it up a little bit because I can get back to, is as men, we have to understand this. In the 90s, when Islamist politics was popular, and I was never a communist, a leftist, a Marxist, a fascist, anything, the only political philosophy that I ever really identified was Islamist politics. Okay?
Yeah, okay, got you.
I mean, I'm a labor Democrat here in America, right? But like, that's just a voting strategy. But traditionally, that's what motivated me. You know what I'm saying? And now, it's a whole different topic. You know, I'm less optimistic about that political ideology than I was, right? I mean, we've seen what happened in Morsi, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Yeah. Anyway, and Dawah Salafiyya and conservative Sufi things, right?
Yeah.
But what was universal in the 90s was women had almost no influence or position in the community at all, right? It was all dudes, wherever you went, right? So what's happened is you've got a generation of women getting out of law school, all kind of college degrees. Muslim women in America are highly educated, okay? And they want a seat at the table. And so they went into the Muslim community, and outside of people like, say, Dali Mugahed or isolated examples here and there, they weren't given that seat. Then you have people like the Ford Foundation, Open Society, academic institutions. They were willing to give it, and in many cases preferred to give the mic to the Muslim women. So they propped them up, these non-Muslim foundations and academic institutions, right? Yeah. But they also reflected something that was real, was that Muslim women not feeling they had a place. You know what I'm trying to say? Because you're talking about a generation of highly educated Muslim women. When they go to their jobs, they're highly respected. And then they go to the masjid and they're in the closet. You see what I'm trying to say? And so something had to give. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think as men, we had it really good in the 90s, right? And now there is excess. I do agree there is excess. There is, like, I don't believe a lot of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll give you an example, bro.
Yeah. I don't believe someone can be convicted just on accusation or stuff like that.
No, I'm not even worried about that, bro. To be honest, I can't get into the whole business of someone being, accused. God knows what happens. I don't want to take away from a woman who experienced something bad. Right. But there's no doubt in my mind, and I was speaking to a Muslim divorce attorney in Chicago, that Muslim women who are crying about men's rights to giving them rights and all that stuff, they're abusing the current system in divorce to milk a man dry, period.
Well, here's what's going on. One thing I will critique is you have people that are playing by two different sets of rules, right? When it benefits them, they're playing by the rules of Islam.
Yeah.
The rules of Islam don't benefit them. They'll play by the rules of
whatever system they want. Yeah.
Progressive politics, American legal system, whatever.
And it happens on both sides.
And it changes depending on what's better for them. Mm-hmm. If you say we're consistent, we're going to go Islamic arbitration. Consistent. I respect that. If you say I'm consistent, I'm a progressive. We're going to go by. If you say consistent, I'm going to go by the American legal system. But that's not what happened. People are switching. If it benefits me here, I'm going to be progressive. If it benefits me here, I'm going to be, old school Muslim.
But that's my point. I feel like sometimes you say, oh, men aren't being men. I feel like women are also being women. Because what they're doing is you can't pick and choose. I mean, I get it. A lot of men are responsible for picking and choosing, right? I get that part. I can admit that and say men have to man up too. But if you want a man to act like a man, you also have to be a woman has to act like a woman as well too, right? I mean, in her rights Islamically. So either you pick it. If you want to get married under secular law and follow leftist progressive ideas, both of you together, let that be a common understanding. That's your business, right?
These things need to be discussed before marriage.
And so that's what I was talking about. Premarital counseling is number one. But number two, I will say this much. In all reality, my personal feeling is this: prenups need to be there. That based on Islamic concepts, I'm talking about money wise, but you have an arbitrary court. But how about that? I don't even think Muslims should get married by the legal framework of the law. I think they should just have corporation contracts and LLCs.
But see, that's not a controversial statement. I mean, if you go to a masjid on the south side of Chicago, no one's getting married legally.
No, okay, you know what I mean, but
You know what I'm saying?
No, but that's true. But
But
what
that's
I mean,
a controversial statement if you go to the suburban Islamic center.
so what? No, but what I am
Yeah.
saying is that's why I'm saying. Look, I believe, to be honest, the law of the land, you have to have certain things in place for that woman to be taken care of, right? Like, because let's say you say you're going to pay her a mahar,
It's not just the woman. I mean,
and the children. Yeah, of course.
For
and the
example,
man.
if the father, if you want rights, you know, you do have certain rights even if you're not married, but you have more rights
Yeah, if you
if you're married.
Yeah.
But we gotta wrap because I'm tired.
Yeah.
I've been.
I know.
I was in Philly in the AM, Chicago in the PM, and what this just shows you is that even at 46 years old,
you still got it.
Brother Umar Lee is vigorous, have vitality. And I got 3 slots open.
All right,
man, thank
appreciate
you.
you coming through.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Any,
Umar Lee newsletter on Substack.
yeah.
Subscribe to the Umar Lee weekly newsletter on Substack.
So we're gonna
And
put
last
that
before
in
you,
there.
how many books are you reading this year? 200? Reading and audio, both. You do both.
About 150.
150.
About 150.
And what's the breakdown? Audible versus audio versus.
At this stage, it's probably 70% audio.
Okay.
But I try to mix it up. Just doing a lot of driving, the audio is easy. I primarily read history.
And you don't find your mind veering off when you're listening to audiobooks?
Sometimes.
You do? Okay.
Sometimes.
So what happens? You just rewind back?
Well,
or
when I'm driving, it's easier to stay focused.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But when I'm not driving, it's harder to stay focused. But mostly a lot of history. You can follow me on Goodreads, Umar Lee on Goodreads.
Okay.
I review a lot of books.
Real quick though, just on that note though, I listen to like sometimes conservative radio just to see what the hell they're saying. There's a guy named Michael Medved that I listen to.
Yeah.
But he did
Out of
this.
Seattle, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he did this cool like audio series on the American Revolution, and it was I'm not gonna lie, even though it's conservative, you should check it out. It's pretty good.
I just left the Liberty Bell this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
I was at the Liberty Bell, and
Because I know you like the revolution, like the American stuff, so you check it out. You'll like it. Michael Medved.
I'll check it out.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thank you again, Brother Umar.
You're
It's
welcome.
been a wild ride. We probably pissed off a few moms.
Oh man,
driving with
We
their
got
kids.
3 dislikes.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 likes. 3, not 2 dislikes. Okay.
That's fine. For questions and comments and concerns, you can always email at info@themedmamluks.com and help us out on
Sorry,
patreon.com
yeah.
/themedmamluks. Alternatively, you can also go to themedmamluks.com /donate and help us out through PayPal.
Go Cards.
yeah.
All right. And as always, if you don't like us, make dua for us. And
Make a door, we get
make-
guided, but not that Allah breaks our back. It's we say guided. Okay.
That's the old Salafi.
Yeah.
May Allah guide you
May-
and break your
Break
back.
your back.
Yeah.
Aki.
Right.
We'll see y'all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. You just lost you probably lost a few subscribers. man.
That's all right.
You probably gained a few.
Oh man, we gotta do this again, man. Sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man.
When do you live in town? Monday?